Good morning, weirdos. Clang, 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 clang. How are ya? Well, no wedgie, no wedgie, no wedgie. All right. You like my new shirt? Is that cool or what? That is a bitchin' shirt right there. Yes. Thank you, Mitch Rowland, for last night. That was phenomenal. We have much to discuss. So, yeah, yesterday was an awesome day. And yesternight was no different. It was awesome as well. I gotta get some coffee in me here. Oh yeah. A little strong this morning. Okay. Let me rearrange my microphone here so I can microphone. There we go. Clangety clang. Well, so it is Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. It is 5 a.m. I am feeling no worse for the wear. So yeah, yesterday was awesome. Well, let's first talk about yesterday's show. I had a great show yesterday. I've been walking on cloud nine ever since. I had a couple of people stop in from the other side of the planet and came by to say hello and to see what was going on. Yeah, now I've got new things to check out, new music, new YouTube videos, new animations, all kinds of cool stuff, and that's pretty awesome. Thank you again, Krim in Ireland and Inviced in I'm going to get it right. Brunei. I'm going to say that was correctly. I'm going to say that was it. Let me check my notes. Let me check my notes and see what the notes have to say about it all. Hello, notes. Hello. Hello, notes. You're such lovely notes. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. There they are, all standing in a row. Big ones, fuzzy ones, ones with little nipple rings on. Pardon me. I got a little giddy this morning. Anyway, I'm really still just reeling from last night at the Mitch Rowland concert here at Pappy and Harriet's. Let's go back a little bit and get a little bit of backstory on this, which is going to require coffee and food, sustenance, nourishment. All right. So back in the fall of 2021, my daughter wants to go see Harry Styles. Okay. At this point, we have pretty much no music in the house, right? Our house is pretty devoid of music at this point. Although my daughter is listening to a lot of music that she's really started getting into in junior high, she hadn't really been sharing it at home because we weren't really a musical household. I had given up music. I had given up on everything back in like 95-ish. A lot of my friends want to say, wow, man, you really took it hard when Jerry died, right? Well, that might have had something to do with it. But I think it was just lack of anything on the radio that was worth listening to. And 95, there wasn't really anywhere to find music at that point. The, VH1, that kind of shit. So I had really been out of music for a while. Now, back, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I'm going to say less than 10 years ago, my daughter and I had started to listen to music together a little bit, playing video games and stuff, but it was more my end. It wasn't hers. She wasn't saying, hey, check this out. This is what I like to listen to. It was more of me and kind of a music appreciation. Look, this band, does this kind of music, and this band does this kind of music, and they've got, their genre over here, and look, I still got my wristband on. I'll show. But it wasn't until she went to Harry Styles, and my father passed away the following year, and I became caretaker for all of his media records and tapes and whatnot, which was only a couple of crates, really just a small stack of really mistreated albums. And so I, along with some other media that I needed to be able to check out, I searched out a turntable and a large video machine to play these old videotapes that he had since the 70s. And so it started me on the road to recovery with music, and it brought me back little by little, along with my daughter, pushing me into the present by throwing tidbits of her past at me, right? Her listening enjoyment goes back to about 95, which is where she starts, which is cool because I go back to about 65 where I really start. Although my father was kind of fanatical about listening to stuff before him and before his father's father, and so I'm really used to listening to stuff as far back as like the late 1800s, right? And earlier, I've got tons of classic music back here, like really, literally the greats of classic composers. So we go through pretty much a whole year, and my daughter graduates high school, right? And then she gets into college, and she, I got a sneeze coming on here. Well, that was a good one. So we come around to 2022. By this time, we've been listening to Harry's first two albums on LP, and we get the third one. I fall in love with the record, and my daughter decides she wants to go to Love on Tour again, that he's doing a 15-night residency at the Forum, right? So I'm like, well, yeah, I didn't get to go last time, so, to hell with if that stupid sickness tries to stop me this time, to hell with it. I was not sick in 2021, but I didn't get my negative test back before the show started, so I couldn't go in. So I sent my wife in. They have both been vaccinated and got their cards, so they didn't have to worry about it. I did not get vaccinated. So there's that. I did get sick at some point, but it was not at or around or during any of the concerts. In fact, it was, had nothing to do with anything, really. So, 2022, my daughter and I go to see Harry Styles at the Forum. I'm going to say that we took her friend Deja that night. And that was a fun night, huh? And Deja's album of choice was his first, my daughter's was his second, and mine was his third. So we kind of represented all three albums being there, which is, it's a kid thing to say, but I felt like a kid. I always feel like a kid when I go out with my daughter. And so, long story short, she finally gets back into music, and pardon me, she takes me out to 2 weeks later after Harry Styles to see the 1975 back at the Forum. And then from then on, it was just show after show after show. And then we get to last night, right? Now, when we saw Harry Styles, of course, Mitch Rowland on the guitar and Sarah Jones on the drums, but Ben Harper, who had helped Harry Styles and Mitch Rowland with Girlfriends, one of the songs on his latest record, Harry's House, right? So because they're in Los Angeles and it's the Forum and it's like really close to Crenshaw, Ben Harper opens up for Harry Styles at the Forum, and he brings family with him and local talent to create his show. I listened to his latest LP before we went, and he played nothing that record, which was, it was kind of a bummer for me because there were songs that I wanted to hear, but at the same time, it was phenomenal because I got introduced to more of his music and his daughter and his son and all of this other phenomenal listening candy, ear candy. So we're at, we go back and forth, and now we've seen I've probably seen a half dozen shows with my daughter, and she's like upwards of 12. So again, we go back to last night at Pappy and Harriet's. My daughter is a bonsai concert fanatic now. If the concert's on a Monday, she wants to get there on a Sunday. I mean, it's literally, she wants to be there for anything and everything that can happen, right? Last night was pretty awesome. I had to take a nap before we went because I get up and do this. I don't have much sleep before this, so I sometimes try to cobble together a couple of hours of sleep after this morning thing. So after the show yesterday, I was real excited and pumped up about my guest viewers that stopped by, and we had a little lovely conversation with the comments, but they got me all excited about working on my new song. So yesterday I actually recorded a pretty good version of this new song that I've written. Of course, every time I record it, I get new thoughts and directions and stuff going in my head, and it's like, oh man, I gotta remember to do that when I record it again, right? Totally. So yesterday I did record it, and it came out pretty good. My daughter said that she loved that version more than the other version, the first version that she loved. And it's had 3 incarnations now, this song. The first one was 2 verses, and then the first verse repeated. I mean, it was basically, I was to come up with a theme song for a show about going to movies, right? Going to see movies. And so it started off as kind of that concept. Let's see what cool stuff I can fit into a small amount of time. You know, what can I talk about in 30 seconds? That makes you think of the movies and go into the show, right? So, as I normally do, I just kind of start writing down little notes, a word, a line, a phrase. I'll jot down stuff in my phone if I'm out or at work or in bed, wake up in the middle of the night and have to jot stuff down. This latest song was no different. I was at work for a couple of days humming, singing it over in my head, a couple of phrases, and it just didn't go anywhere. It just kind of laid there. And then I recorded the couple of lines that I had and listened to them back. And wouldn't you know it, I came up with another word and another phrase and a line that I could not use. And I just kept setting it aside and bringing it back and setting it aside and bringing it back. And I just could not use this line. I was finally actually able to hone the meter down to where I could figure out how to incorporate the lines and the phrases and the words that I wanted to. And at one point, it flowed out of me uncontrollably. I could not control the words that I was writing down. I could not control how it was being heard. I couldn't control how the vocals blended with the guitar. I could not control what key I was singing in. It all just became natural, and I was on autopilot for this one. And that happens sometimes, where if you don't force it, all you got to do is turn the faucet on and stand back, and then just keep putting a vessel under it to catch what's coming out. And that's what I was doing. I would just kept replacing the vessel and filling it up, and then trying to take that and at the same time of filling up another one, trying to pour it into where it was supposed to go. And this song, I think, is one of my best, albeit a novelty song, albeit a weird song. It has a lot of me in it. It has a lot of the past in it. It has a lot of emotion in it. It has a lot of fun. I get to do funny voices, you know, and I think it's going to make for a neat video. I'm trying to kill time here, eating this, so that when I start discussing last night, I'm not pausing and snipping. So let me finish this off and get a bong hit in me, and we'll discuss. Last night was just amazing. I've had no funner night, no funner day, 24-hour period, going out into the world or being at home. I've had no funner 24-hour period being me, being this guy. And that is a rough thing to say. I don't think I've ever had such a huge or such a small period of time, but 24-hour period. I don't think I've ever had such a small 24-hour period filled with such huge amounts of excitement joy, love, friendship. Yeah. After my show yesterday, and the guys who showed their love here, it seemed like it snowballed throughout the whole day. It just got bigger and bigger. Now it just carried around this snowball of love. And that's what it felt like yesterday. It was awesome. I was lying in bed last night at about 1 or so in the morning, trying to get a couple of hours of rest before I popped up here again. And I literally caught myself lying in bed with a smile on my face. All right. How's that? Now that right there says everything. I actually thought to myself, if I were to not wake up, yesterday would have been a great last day with family, with friends, with strangers, with the world, with my private life, with my dogs, with everything. Everything, aside from the fact that I really didn't eat much yesterday. I had a sandwich after the show, not even a whole sandwich. I gave most of the half of it to my dogs. And then I didn't eat again last night until we got back from the show at about 11 o'clock, right? 11:30. My daughter and wife and I are out here watching Home Improvement reruns, eating Carl's Jr., right? Which, it's not a bad thing. We prefer to have In-N-Out after our shows, but there's no In-N-Outs up here. I suggested tacos and burritos, but my daughter was having none of it. She's like, nah, we might as well go to Carl's. So, we got the famous. My wife got a sourdough cheeseburger thing. Enough about food, because I will get hungry. So let's not talk about food. Let us, and tomato. See, there we go again. Let's talk about last night. Okay, so I get up from my nap yesterday, right? And it's about 3:30. I snooze, I lay there, I flop around, I'm exhausted, I don't want to get up. I, probably cobble together maybe an hour and a half sleep laying there. And so I get up, get my act together, drink a bunch of water and get in the shower, get all cleaned up, run a comb through all of this hair, and then get dressed, and pretty much we're out the door. We stopped in town, of course, to get some gas, and Pioneer Town, where Pappy and Harriet's is, it's literally just up the road. I mean, it's Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley. You hang a right over Yucca Valley, and you go up to Pioneer Town. It's literally less than 20 minutes away. Okay. It's 8 minutes to my daughter's old junior high, 12 minutes to her old high school, and probably 16, 18 minutes up to Pioneer Town. So it's not far. It's just a drive to the other side of town, really. But because we live in the boonies, towns are pretty spread out. Coffee. So, my wife was driving last night, because if one of us, if I decide that I'm going to drink, then she doesn't really want to drive my van. So I thought, okay, well, we'll just take your car, and then if you decide to drink, then I'll drive your car, because I got no problem driving your little car. So our plan was to get there at 5 p.m. Because that's my daughter. She's like, let's get there hours early so we can get right in the front. And so I thought, well, why don't we just go there, get us a table, have some dinner, and chill out until the show starts, right? Because that's what I've seen other people do. And we get there at 5, and we show up, and there's no cars in the parking lot. There's a couple of U-Hauls. There's a few cars around the restaurant, but it's pretty dead at 5 o'clock, 2 hours before the place opens, and it is closed. It's a Tuesday night, so I just figured it was going to be slow, but they actually closed the entire restaurant so that they could come in and do setup and do sound check. It's only Mitch Rowland's third show on the tour. The Fillmore, and then the John Ford in Los Angeles, and then Pappy and Harriet. So I'm assuming he's doing these smaller venues, working his way out to the bigger clubs, or maybe this is just a small venue tour. So we show up, and there's no security around. The doors are open. Roadies are going in and out, and we step up to the back door at Pappy and Harriet's, the back entrance into the restaurant, and we step in, and most of the people kind of just look up and ignore us standing there. And as I pick my eyes up and they adjust to the light, the darkness of this room, I realize that, oh shit, they're setting up, right? They're doing a setup, and they're doing sound checks. And I look over the stage, and I see there's a bunch of musical instruments there. And like no less than like 9 or 10 stringed instruments. And then I see a girl, a young lady, futzing around off the stage with something, and I realize, oh my gosh, that's Harris Harper. And then I swing my gaze slightly to the right onto the stage, and sitting on a chair, tuning his guitar, is Ben Harper, right? The one and only Ben Harper from Innocent Criminals. And I'm starting to get fanish, right? I'm starting to feel like a ooh, and I don't usually do that. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't. I've been around a lot of celebrities. I grew up in and around Los Angeles and Hollywood back in the 70s and 80s, and we were in a town in Elsinore, California, that was frequented by people from Hollywood and musicians and stars. And you could go out, and I literally, as a teenager, went out and hitchhiked and got picked up by David Crosby of Crosby, Stills and Nash, right? You never know what you're going to find back in the 70s and 80s, right? So I see Ben Harper, and so it's like, okay, well, they're so we kind of excuse ourselves, and so as we're excusing ourselves, somebody comes up and says, can I help you? And I said, well, we just thought we would show up early and eat, but I guess that's not going to happen. And he said, no, later on we'll have some food and stuff. I said, all right, well, thanks. I see you recognize a few people over here. And referring to, of course, the Harper clan, the Harper family was like right there. And so it was like, okay, well, let's just go hang outside, and we'll figure out what we're going to do for the next couple of hours. So we sat down on a bench looking at the stage door, the back door of the stage. And there's a bunch of music cases stacked up around this door. Laying on the ground is a huge, giant stand-up bass case. And it's just massive, right? So we kind of just sit down and hang around. And I'm trying to find reception on my phone. And I'm trying to, figure out how I'm going to, do some kind of live thing, which never panned out. It's like, okay, well, let's just hang around for a few minutes, and then maybe we can, and then all of a sudden Mitch Rowland comes out the stage door and walks by us, and it's like, hey, dude, he's just like, hey, man, what's up? And cruises on by and cruises over to the little house they have for the guests. My daughter sent me, found a picture of that little house on Mitch's Instagram, where they were kind of camped out. So we're hanging out outside the stage door. It's 5 in the evening, 5:30 in the evening. It is a beautiful blue sky. The temperature is just wonderful. And my wife and daughter and I are just really just having a great time in the moment, just laughing and kind of being together and stuff. And once again, I turn around and there's Ben Harper coming out of the door. And I turned around and I said, "Oh, wow, shoot." And he literally turned around to me and said, "Hey, how have you been, man? I haven't seen you in a while." And I've never had any communication with Ben Harper ever before in my life. And this took me by surprise a little bit, that maybe he thought I was someone else, or maybe he's just really nice and wants to put me at ease or whatever. But so I just responded with, "Yeah, I haven't seen you since the forum last year or so." And he said, "Oh, yeah, great. How have you been?" And I said, "Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?" And we had a little bit of back and forth. And I asked, "Would you mind if I got a photograph with you?" And he just got the most humble look on his face. And he said, "Oh, no, not at all." And he put his hand out, and he's got these great catcher's mitt hands that are just massive. When I shook hands with Big Sandy, he's got these little hands that are just, like doll hands, compared to big giant Ben Harper's massive mitt, and he gives me this great handshake, and we had this great moment in this picture. And I was just overwhelmed, right? It's like, I was already on cloud 9 because of yesterday's show. And this catapulted me to the 19th cloud. I mean, I was up there. And Mitch Rowland keeps going by. His guitar player and keyboard player and bass player, they all keep kind of milling around out there. And I don't know from Adam, I don't know who's who, right? And eventually, once we saw the show, I realized that all of these guys that kept walking by and saying hi to me were actually guys that were going to be on the stage, right? So it was a pretty cool short meet and greet with Ben Harper. And I still am. I'm just so overwhelmed with gratitude, So gratitude to my daughter, to Ben Harper, to Pappy and Harriet. Everybody was just so friggin' sweet. Yeah, it made me. I told my daughter, I said, I feel like I'm a freaking rock star. Everybody is just so awesome. I feel like, like I'm the focal point of their awesomeness. They want to be awesome. It's like, there's that dude, let's be awesome. I don't know. I got to warm up my coffee again. Straighten up my chair. Oh, yeah. Let me get a couple of seconds in the microwave here. Check out my cup. I love Eeyore. I got an Eeyore thing going on. There you go. Is that a cool one? So this is one of my favorite Eeyore cups here. This kind of, no wedgie. This kind of reminds me of Venom, or Tangled Up in Blue. Tangled Up in Blue by Bob Dylan, right? Jerry Garcia does a great version of Tangled Up in Blue. with the Jerry Garcia band. Phenomenal rendition of Tangled Up in Blue. He also does some great renditions of stuff on Saunders Garcia Convent, which is a great concert album. I'm going to have to find another copy of that. I did not get a lot of records with my father's collection. His wife kept a lot, which is fine because they probably listened to those and they have a connection with those. And the ones that I didn't get in the collection from my father, I've just been replacing, like the Dr. Demento stuff, Traffic. There's a lot of records that I remember from when I was a kid, that didn't make it to me. So I've just started collecting, which is why I've got hundreds of records, thousands over in a friend's garage. So yeah, a lot of records. I really love Mitch Rowland's T-shirt. It really is kind of like a Mitch's little cabin here, really cool. So let's see. Last night we're at Pappy and Harriet's, and I've just met Ben Harper, right? Which is what I texted to David, who hadn't shown up yet. All right, they didn't show up until after 7. Trying to talk their girls into coming out and playing, and they just had none of it. Nah, I ain't going out. You damn adults, go out and play. Damn it, leave us kids alone. We want to be serious, which is the way my daughter is most of the time. So I text my friend David, I just met Ben Harper, and he's like, oh shit. Yeah, get your butt here like now, right? So they finally show up. The show is, we're inside. We've got our spot next to Ben Harper, right in the corner. Just a perfect spot for the show. Right up against a wall. I can stand off to the side and not be in the way of anyone shorter. To get the girls in front of me. It was just great. So I'm hanging out by the door and going outside and taking hits off my stuff, which is what I'll probably do now. And waiting for my friends Kristen and David to show up so that I can give them their tickets and they can come in. And so I'm just kind of wait. And they finally show up, and we go in. We kind of say, okay, well, this is our spot over here, and we go get a couple of beers, and kind of hang out. I really wanted to try to get David to listen to my new song, and so I loaded it onto YouTube because I couldn't get it to message to myself because it's too big of a file. So we went into a quiet corner of Pappy and Harriet's. And of course, a quiet corner meant no reception, and I could not get my video to load up. So I had him listen to a bass riff that I had created for another song. He's the one that lent me the bass. So I was really anxious to get his kind of point, his take on it. Because I tried to create some kind of snappy, upbeat 80s type thing. I think I did pretty good for not knowing what the hell I'm doing. I think I'm doing pretty good for being blind, right? Yeah, so they get there, and within a few minutes, Harris Harper comes up on stage with her brother CJ, Charles Joseph Harper. They call him CJ. She has got the voice of an angel. She plays this Taylor acoustic guitar, and she strums it so lightly with just like the breeze from her hand is what strums the guitar. It's just so light, right? She's got these really light, delicate fingers. So the amp is like cranked way up, so you hear a lot of bass reverberation in her acoustic playing. and of course CJ on the keyboard and backup vocals. And from what I understand, he is her producer, um, and he's a musician, singer, writer, producer. And because they're so close to Los Angeles, he was actually able to come out and do this show, the few shows around. Um, that's the way I understood it, and I think it was the same way for Dad to come over. And there was a really cute moment in, like, after her third song, she's tuning her guitar, and she gets done tuning it, and she looks up and she just says, "Dad," right? And the whole audience, which was just a couple of hundred people max, right? I don't even think we got to 200 people last night. It was not sold out. And when she said "Dad," with this little lost, innocent look on her face, the audience melted, and Dad stepped from around the side and stepped up to the front and picked up his guitar, his slide guitar, and accompanied his daughter on a song that she sang for us at the forum. And it was phenomenal. They were both, but I recorded the song. And yeah, once again, the audience melted. My heart leapt. He helped very, very, he was very gracious and humble and wanted this night to be about his daughter. And he was really did the dad thing, right? And he was really, what's that word that I'm looking for? I won't find the word that I'm looking for, so I'll just move on. He was really casual about it. He did not want to make it about him. Okay. And he did his work and very humbly got up and gave us a bow and walked off stage, and that was it. Until he came out and did the same thing for Mitch Rowland and played a song and did some backup vocals on one of Mitch's songs that he helps with on the actual album. Right. So at this point, she's on stage unplugging her guitar and gathering up her things and getting ready to walk off stage. And I'm gone. I'm like a shot out of a gun. I just bolt. And I wiggle myself through the audience and out the side door and around to the back door again. And I, fumbled around, oh shucks, kicking the dirt, like, oh gosh, golly. And Harris Harper came out, and her brother came out, and I told her, I don't remember what exactly I told her, but I complimented her on her singing and the fact that we had seen her before, and we really enjoy her performances. And I asked if I could possibly have a photo, and she was more gracious and sweet than her father, and that is really hard to do since he was like the nicest guy in the world. All right, and she was like daughter of the nicest guy in the world. Okay, exactly what you would expect. She was a sweetheart. By then it was dark. A friend of theirs asked to take if she could take photo, and I asked if we could step back into the light, the same light that I got a photo with of Big Sandy under. I shook her hand as well, like I did with her father, because I wanted there to be that continuity. And I thanked her so much, and told her how much that my daughter and I really appreciate her family and their family business. Making joy for the ears, right? And so I wiggle myself back inside. And back up to the front to where my wife and daughter are. And Harris and her brother come back in and on stage to gather up some more stuff. And as we're standing there watching, I open up my phone and I show my daughter the photo of Harris and I, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, no, you didn't. Yeah, I did. And at this point, I had already started to drink, and I'm not a drinker. I'm more of a pot smoker. But when in Rome, right? Drink Roman beer. Of course, the photo with Harris, I've got a Coors in my hand, and that's cool. But by the time Mitch Rowland came out, I was probably on beer number 2, right? So I was really starting to feel the love, right? And of course, I knew that it was possible for Sarah Jones to be there, and I had hoped that because Harris Harper was there, that Ben Harper was going to be there. But it was so phenomenal to have all of that actually happen, Yeah, Ben Harper, Mitch Rowland, Sarah Jones, they all, Harris Harper even, they all feel like old friends now because I've seen them a couple of times, When I shook Ben Harper's hand and stood there next to him, it didn't feel like I was shaking hands with a celebrity. I felt more like I was being reintroduced to an old friend from Southern California. All right. He's a year younger than me. He was born in Pomona. I was born in LA. We both grew up in the Southern California area. We did a lot of time in Los Angeles and Hollywood. So we probably chewed up a lot of the same pavement. We probably went to some of the same skateboard parks as kids back when I was into skateboards. So it felt really natural, and it did not feel like afterwards when he was gone, I was like, I just met Ben Harper, and it felt like I was just talking to my old, high school buddy. It didn't feel like it was celebrityism. It was weird. It was awesome, but it was weird nonetheless. So Mitch Rowland was just awesome. He played mostly acoustic guitar, and he had a great electric guitar player doing his stuff that he had written for the music, because it was all his music. And it was just, it was out of this world. It really was. It was out of this world. Ben Harper, of course, accompanied them on a song, and he was very, very humble. He watched from out in the audience with family and friends, and from the side, he was really into some of the songs that you could tell he had invested a lot of emotion into, because they're like family. All right. It was really neat to see so much family love in that room last night. It was, I know I get all, but it was awesome. The Southern California boy, all I can say is it's totally fucking awesome, man. They did even go there. Hey, Marge, he's talking that Valley chick again. I love it when he does that, Harry. Shut up. Oh my God, both of you shut up and I'll keep talking. I'm going to do a bong hit. Of course, I don't usually drink early in the evening, because if I stop drinking and then am awake for longer than I've been drinking, I start to get a headache. So when I do drink, I tend to drink slow, but I'll drink continuous. I'll try to drink until I get home, and then I'll chug a bunch of water, smoke a little weed, and then go to sleep. Maybe take an aspirin before I go to sleep with all that water, and wake up feeling fine. I only had 3 beers last night, but for me, being a lightweight and quite possibly slightly allergic to alcohol, that's all I need. I mean, 6 beers and I'm on the ground crawling, so I don't even want to get into it. But yeah, last night just got better and better and better. Before we went in, I bought my shirt, of course, so I could support Mitch in his solo career. But also, after consideration, I decided to get a Harris Harper shirt because I wanted to show support for the Harper family as well. So I put on this shirt over my 2022 long sleeve Love on Tour shirt. So I put this one on, and then I bought a Harris Harper shirt and I put it on over this. So during the Harris Harper, and actually the photo with Harris Harper, I'm wearing her shirt. And then for Mitch, I just peeled the Harris Harper shirt off, and I was ready for Mitch to support Mitch, which was pretty cool. I love to support the people who don't know that they support me, because they do. A lot of these people with their music and their artistry, they really do lift me up, and they're like my crutch, right? That's why I'm surrounded by this stuff. On any given day, I'll listen to, you know, any kind of music from any era, any genre. But I'll also go weeks without listening to anything. And then I start to feel it. It starts to wear on my psyche, and my soul starts to get a little raw if I don't pump enough music into it. So if I'm playing a lot, then that's okay. I don't want to throw a lot of other music into the mix. I just want it to be what's in my head. So lately, I've been playing a lot of music, trying to write these things down and get these things semi-produced. Yeah, music and I are not always constant companions, but we are definite old friends who enjoy getting together. Pardon me. So I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth. My friend David, like me, he's 10 years younger than me, but he's got kind of a physical career working on those tall wind generator things, right? And he does a lot of desk work as well. So his back was troubling him last night, so he was sitting down. And what a great venue it is that it's a bar, it's a restaurant. There's tables and chairs, there's bar stools. You can stand up at the stage, or you can sit back in the restaurant and watch it on a giant screen, you know, and the music's just right there. So I was going back and forth from the front, annoying the people that I had to walk through, but back and forth to hang out with my friends, to sit down myself because my back didn't like it much either. Get another beer, use the bathroom, hang out, go up front. And then it was like, I'm up front with my wife and daughter enjoying the music, and Mitch says, okay, I got one last song if you want to hear it. And the crowd goes wild. And I reach down into my daughter's bag and scramble and finally dig up this red Sharpie, which was the only decent Sharpie that we could come up with at home, right? So I grab this Sharpie out of her bag, and I grab her copy of The Jacket from Come June, Mitch Rowland's solo album, which we've had for months and have listened to on numerous occasions. And for me, it's like listening to the 70s love ballads, 70s, 80s love ballads, a lot of classic, a lot of acoustic guitar, which is why I enjoy Harry Styles music, because it harkens back to those love ballads, you know, from the 70s and 80s, right? So he does this last song. So I go over to our exit inside, and stand behind Ben Harper watching Mitch and the band on stage, and I got a great shot. I don't have a good phone, but I got a great close up shot of Mitch Rowland playing his guitar and smiling, and then down back beyond him is my wife and daughter, and my daughter's got a great smile on her face that is a great contrasting reactionary shot to his smile. So I got that, and then as they unplugged and walked off, I ran around once again, and I'm sure at this point, yeah, they were probably there's that crazy old weird bearded guy again. But I ran around to the back door, and Mitch came out and handed someone a guitar. And as he turned around, I first of all thanked him. Hey, thank you so much. You guys were awesome. You know, do you think I could possibly get you to sign your record for my daughter? Her name is Natalie. And he said, yeah, sure, no problem. And he took it and he said, is that spelled Lie at the end? And it was like, you know, to care enough to ask to spell the name right. And I said, yes. And as he was signing that, I turned, and here comes Sarah Jones walking up, holding one of his guitars. And I told her how beautiful I thought her voice was. I said, you know, you have a beautiful voice. And her beautiful voice and that accent, she said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're my new favorite person. And of course, she became my new favorite person. She was so beautiful and gracious. And I asked, would you please sign my daughter's record as well? And she, you know, and of course I handed it to her, and her hand was full holding one of his guitars. So I just reached out, automatic for me to just hold a guitar for somebody. And I just said, well, I'll hold that for you. And I just grabbed the neck of the guitar and just held it there, and just held it right where she was holding it. And she signed it. And as she was signing it, an older woman, well, older, probably my age, right? She shows up, and she was responsible for a lot of what was going on. And she said, I'll take this and give this to so-and-so. And so I said, oh, thank you. And took the record back and shook hands. And it was just one of those moments. And I dared not ask for a photograph because at this point I could feel the crowd coming out of the doors behind me. And I knew that they wanted to move on. And so I very, very much appreciatively thanked them and said goodnight. And as I turned around to leave them as they were walking away, I noticed that a line of girls, 2 by 2, had formed behind me, right? And they were expecting, I would imagine, to have some form of meet and greet with Mitch Rowland, which did not happen. Mitch Rowland and Sarah Jones, anxious to get back to the family, just turned around and just walked back to the cabin 100 feet away, and went back to the real life, right? And I was almost sneered at by every girl as I walked by with that record and that pen, and the eyes of these girls as they looked at me and looked at Mitch walking away and looked at me with this huge smile on my face, looking down at this record with these signatures on it, and the scowls that I got from some of these girls. Well, how come that old dude got to talk to him and we didn't? What is he, their friend? What, does he know them? And I got a lot of these looks like, oh my God, how did he? You know? But that was nothing compared to the look that I got from my daughter. Okay. I went to the door as everybody was pouring out, and I looked around and I saw, okay, well, they're not in that corner anymore. So they've got to be coming out soon. Oh, there's my daughter. And I look up and I see my daughter. As soon as she makes eye contact with me, I hold up her record, right? And as soon as I hold up her record, let me get it here for you. So as soon as I hold that up and she sees the little red squiggles on it, she covers her mouth and she just starts to tremble a little bit. And she comes out and she literally starts to tear up. And she says, "Oh my God, you got him to sign it? You got him to sign it?" I swore I wasn't going to do this. Yeah, I got him to sign it. I asked them. All I had to do was ask. And pardon me. And so she came out and she looked at it and she gave me this hug and cried. And we stood there for like a minute, just her in my arms, trembling and sobbing. And she took me out and gave me this opportunity to, to enjoy life. And for me to be able to give her just this small gift. And it wasn't even from me. I mean, it was somebody else. And it just made me feel like the greatest dad in the world. It did. We have had so much fun together, my daughter and I, on these excursions out, whether it's just her and I, or her and her mother and I, or her and one of her friends or a couple of her friends. We have literally had some just awesome experiences together. And if you've listened to some of my other shows, I was kind of a hands-off father, doing antidepressants and stuff during the first part of her life, and then not wanting to be a bad influence upon her. So allowing her mother to do most of the parenting and me to just try to be as good an influence as I could without trying to influence her too much to be like me, because, God forbid, there would be another me around. So this last few years, we've really had the opportunity to bond and make a lot of connections that we just haven't been able to. And just two little scrawls on a piece of cardboard can mean so much, and I gotta go let a dog out, so I'm gonna warm up my coffee and let a dog out. Oh look, dog. I'm just gonna come get her. You got it? Yeah, close it up. I'll keep her on here. Can you hear that? Big dog is. Well, oh, look, it's time for my computer to be glitchy. Oh, I got some kind of program that starts at 6 a.m. or something. Well, I got a little emotional there for a minute. But I guess that's what being a dad's all about, right? Yeah, leave some water for the fish there, dog. Yeah, don't come in here and cough it all up now. Big face. This is Bessie. She's a big dog. You're a big dog. Yes, you big old girl. She got bit by something. Something on her face the other day, and she's fine now. Yep. Hey, Sam, did she leave you any water? So, come on, you want to go back to bed? I'm going to put Sam back to bed. All right, I'll be right back. With Mom or with Natalie? Much better with Mom. Well, so last night was, it was my daughter's night to go out and see one of her favorite musicians, Mitch Rowland. But it was, because of my daughter, it was my night to shine. I mean, I was just locally, I'm in my element, right? We've been out here living out in the high desert here since my daughter was in the first grade, and she's just about ready to leave junior college. So that's a pretty good chunk of time. And I actually feel like a local now. I feel like, like I belong out here, which is really weird because I was never into the desert lifestyle. I loathe the heat. I despise the cold. And yesterday we had them both. It was hot yesterday. It was nice and warm, and then as soon as the sun went down, it was freezing. And that's one of the things that really struck me odd, and which really struck me as being so human, was when I met Ben Harper, how he took a second to just kind of say, yeah, man, this is nice out here. I mean, look at this is beautiful weather. I mean, and he took time to be in that moment. He wasn't like, a guy looking at his watch and thinking about the shit was going on. It was there in his head about what the evening was about. But he had, the humanistic wherewithal to say, hey, man, thank you, and just by being polite was such a huge uplifting thank you to me, right? You always imagine meeting a celebrity and for them to be just the exact opposite of what you want them to be. And this was not that. He was exactly the person that I wanted him to be when I met him. All right. He was the same guy that you see on TV and videos, the same guy you see candidly interacting with family and friends. He's just that guy, right? And he's a real sweetheart. As were everybody last night. It was just it like a continuation. The love extended tour. So yeah, I had such a huge emotional experience last night. I woke up this morning again, walking on sunshine again. So we said, bid adieu, a farewell to our friends. Let me get this damn dog and see what he wants to do. You gonna hang out with me? You gonna hang out with me? Is that what you want? You want to hang out with me for a few minutes? Well, you can do that. Come on. Good morning, Sam. Oh, good morning, Sammy. Good morning. How are you? Did you sleep good? What a good boy. So last night, at the end of the evening, we made it out to the parking lot and said farewell to our friends, David and Kristen, who were unable to talk their girls into coming out last night. I was able to give him his bass guitar back. Hopefully at some point we can get together and, if not record some music, at least listen to some records. We're going to see Lucas Nelson next week, David and I. So I think I'm going to have to open up my LP of Sticks and Stones and listen to it. I have a tendency to save things and kind of savor them and wait for that right moment. Like some people save like a bottle of wine for a special occasion. Well, I do the same thing with books and records, movies, that kind of stuff. I keep unopened copies of things around that I may or may not have heard, most of which I haven't. And I just kind of wait for that right time to kind of uncork it and give it a taste, see what it tastes like. He's doing voices again, Margaret. Shut up. So yeah, we finished off the night, of course, by grabbing some fast food. We went by the grocery store and grabbed a few things, and then decided, we might as well eat, since I haven't eaten all day. My daughter hadn't eaten much. Remarkably enough, my wife actually ate last night too. So of course we all had a really, 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 really late dinner, which of course kept my heart racing all night, and kept me awake, and kept me sitting up in bed. It's not good to eat a big giant meal and then crawl into bed. So that, putting on the B movie with Jerry Seinfeld and moving on, down the road into sleephood. But the evening finally ended. It ended with my daughter hopping into the shower and then coming to rescue one of the dogs to sleep with. And then I was out. I was, of course, up and down like at least 2 times between 1 in the morning and 4:30, right? Which really sucks. But what are you going to do? Insomnia is insomnia is insomnia is insomnia. You just deal with it, right? You just go with it. What are you going to do? You can't do nothing. You just go with it. I was talking with my friend David last night about difficulty sleeping, and he was talking about how hard it is to get good sleep and stuff. And he sleeps for about half the night, and then he's up and may or may not go back to sleep. And then I told him that a good night's sleep for me was like 5 hours. Like since I was a little kid, a good night's sleep for me was like 5 hours. Now, when I was really young, it was difficult to deal with such a small amount of sleep, which probably led to a lot of my issues at school, being tired all the time. But as I got older and got into partying and hanging out and smoking pot and stuff, it started to change my brain chemistry a little bit as an adolescent. I really started to enjoy being a non-sleeper. Most of my friends would have to, drink a lot of coffee or do some speed or cocaine or something to stay up for 2 or 3 days at a whack, right? And I would just do it on my own energy, on the contact energy from others around me. If they were doing speed, I was kind of feeling some of that in me. I'm real empathetic to that. So, yeah. This chair's squeaky. Tomorrow morning I'll wear my Harris Harper shirt. Yeah, what a neat bunch of people. Even the roadies were cool. Even the big bouncer guys who were all, don't come in, stay outside. It ain't getting loud in here right now. Even those guys, once the show started, they were, hey man, how you doing? How's it going? Hey, you having a good time? Right on, man. So you could see that hey, don't do that. That was the facade, and the, hey man, how's it going? That was the reality, And I've been around enough bars and bouncers and stuff to know that none of these guys were mean guys. They just had a really good mean act, right, that they could put on. They had a mean face they could put on, right? Hey, I'm a tough guy. Don't do that. How's it going, man? What's up? All right. Well, I'm so happy I have a companion in here this morning. They will usually stay in bed with my wife or come out, do this, and then go into bed with my daughter. These guys probably get more sleep than the three of us combined. Because if somebody's asleep there with, my daughter has a different sleeping schedule. So they will literally sleep with her all day, sleep with us all night, nap all day long. Yeah, these are the sleepinest dogs. But they're the best. So I'm still riding on this high from yesterday and last night. So whenever this happens, normally when something like this would happen, my depressive nature would cause me to crash, right? I would have these happy, ultra happy moments would always ultimately lead to a huge depression afterwards. I don't know the blood chemistry or brain chemistry. I don't know what it is that causes me to just go back and forth, manic, super happy, super sad. It's hard to float in between. If I'm just floating in between, I'm usually just blah, 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 right? Yeah, this emotional roller coaster that is my life, right? Man, I get in these tangents, right? Where I've got so many things in my head, and then all of a sudden it just goes, and they're all gone. And I'm sitting here going, what the hell was I talking about, man? Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I was going with the depression. Yeah, the ultra highs and the ultra lows, right? And the one thing that has helped me balance out the ultra highs and the ultra lows more so than any antidepressant or any antidepressant regimen that I've been on, right? The one thing that keeps these highs and lows more balanced has been YouTube, has been this show, has been um, the gift of being able to come on here and share my life with any who will listen, um, and allow me to have a diary, a video diary that is for the whole world to examine, um, and let me unbottle, let me uncork and unbottle, like my friends Tom from the Tommy Tom Show, Die Empty, which is exactly what this show is helping me to do. It allows me to empty out all of these things that would normally lead to an ultra dark place at some point where I'd have to try to scream and crawl, kicking and screaming to get out of. And these things last for years. I will go into a depression that I'm just melancholy for a year, 2 years, and I've lost much of my adult life to depression, just not being able to function normally, right? Which is pretty fucked up. And lately, over the last couple of years, I've been able to function mo better with my depression, because of YouTube, creating content for YouTube, the possibility of things that I could create, picking up my guitar again, reintroducing my brain to music, all of these, factors, and my daughter being a major factor, have just led me to a better place in dealing with my depression. So thank you, everyone. It really has been a huge turnaround for me. Now, there have been portions of my life and people in my life who I have, so long wanted to have back in my life. And some of them will just have none of it. There are others that I don't want back in my life, and they're screaming, hey, look at me, look at me. And I just like, I don't want to go there again. So, I mean, what do? You move on. And that's kind of what this is helping me do. It's helping me figure out that it doesn't have to be about, it doesn't have to be all about the past. Yeah, there's going to be people from the past that I can have interactions with. But for the most part, I'm going to kind of move on down the road and bring the past to people who don't know it, people who don't know me. So, and that's more of a challenge. It's more of a fun experience. It's more of an adventure. Looking back is nostalgic and reminiscent and all that, but there's no real adventure because you've been there. I have to go back and time travel and go into the past as a spectator, and I'm only seeing things how they already unfolded. If I can take the past and introduce it to the present, now it becomes something new because I'm introducing it to someone who knows nothing about it, or introducing myself to someone who knows nothing about me, and that's exciting. That's an adventure. Yesterday, getting to know people from the other side of the world, that was an adventure. Last night, going out in my hometown here and meeting people from the other side of the world and having that adventure, and getting out of myself and out of my shell and actually doing what I do here on the show out in the real world, introducing myself to the world. And a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have had the balls or the guts or the kindness in my heart to just go out and put a smile on my face and say, hi there, can I get a hug from you? Can I shake hands with you? Can I get a photo? And so, my daughter is the main drive behind my change. And my wife, of course, but YouTube is no small potatoes either. I mean, YouTube has really helped me to get my shit together, um, artistically and creatively. Um, and it's started to snowball. I've begun to play the guitar more and think more lyrically, uh, and come up with more. I'm literally coming up with more video ideas than I can keep up with. Um, I'm I'm not a well person. I don't have a lot of physical strength because of neck and back injuries. I suffer from a lot of physical ailments and situations that I want to get into. Um, but at this point in my life, mortality starts snapping at your heels, and you want to do something. You want to get things done. That she's like, I'm going to write that novel, that great American novel. I'm going to write it. How many people in the United States and around the world want to write that novel, and they never do. They've got notes. I've got stacks. I've got 100,000 words written. You know, um, and it may never go as far as that. I may actually be able to introduce some of that here, and that might prompt me to do more with it and actually create an actual story in a book, and that would be wonderful. So, you know, in no small part, um, YouTube is responsible for much of what is happening in my life. uh, I uploaded my latest song, one version of it, onto YouTube so that I could share it with my friend. And when I did that, it of course did a copyright check on it and found a connection between my song and Ramblin' Fever by Merle Haggard, right? And I went cockeyed because I don't remember ever having heard Ramblin' Fever at all in my life. It's kind of an obscure song, one of those novelty songs. And so I disputed it because it's not a copy, it's not a cover, it's not even a parody, it's nothing like it. There may be some similar strumming of a chord, right? Other than that, that's the only thing. When I literally had to go search, found the song and popped it up, and I was listening to it with my daughter, I found nothing similar, nothing at all. So I disputed it and said just that. It's not a copy, it's not a cover, it's not a parody, it's an original song with original lyrics and original music. The guitar may be similar to something else, but that's it. But it's mine, and I dispute this. So hopefully I will, win that. Of course, that is probably one of those difficulties that many artists have with YouTube's algorithms, is that if it seems similar to something else, they're going to say, well, there's possible copyright infringement on these 8 songs that aren't even similar, or maybe slightly, similar to what you've done, right? So what do? You just accept the consequences, or do you dispute it? So I'm going to dispute and see what happens. I do record some covers, and I give credit to where credit is due. If I'm going to do an Arthur Crudup song that Elvis Presley sings, I'm going to give credit to Arthur Crudup, right? Not Elvis Presley. I'm going to give credit to the original writer of the music, and possibly the artist who originally performed it. Unless it's like covered by a bunch of people, then it's not really the original writer isn't what's important. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to change my song, so it'll just have to be known, and I'll have to put it in the description of the song that, that let it be known that YouTube wants to claim copyright infringement upon, somebody and so and whatnot. And but I dispute this, and this is my song. It's an original song. It's not a cover. It's not a copy. It's not a parody. And I'm just going to have to create um, um, a boilerplate statement that I can post on every one of my original songs that basically will state whatever YouTube says and their copyright algorithms. This is mine and it belongs to no one else. And I claim my own copyright upon it. Right. And I can do that. Why? Because I can. And I know, the realities of ownership. If I made it with my brain and my hands, then it's mine. Right. There is so much music, and so much music has been created, and so much entertainment, that everything has the possibility of sounding like anything, right? It's just the way it is. There's so much out there right now that how can you, I can strum a couple of chords one way that will fit 100 songs, right? Because there's only so many ways you can strum some chords, right? I can literally take G, C, and D and write 1,000 songs with that. And there's been 1,000,000 songs written with those 3 chords. I'm not even a musician or a singer, right? I'm just a guy who likes the sound and the feel of a guitar. And sometimes my fingers cooperate. I'm not a singer-songwriter, but I love words, and I love, obviously, speaking words. So yeah, this is Crazy Old Weird Beard Guy mornings. Is Old Time Radio Wednesday, and I guess at some point we could put something on. I think this might be a special day. Today we'll go without Old Time Radio Wednesday, because next week I've got so much going on that I don't think I'm going to be here. Monday evening I've got to take my daughter and her friend Charlie to the Honda Center and drop them off at a show, and then hang around probably downtown Disney with my wife until we pick the kids up and come home, which is going to put us home around 2 or 3 in the morning, which is going to mean that I'm either going to come on with little or no sleep and then have to go right back to sleep again. Because Tuesday night, I've got to go out with my friend to Santa Ana to see Lucas Nelson at Promise of the Real. So thankfully, he'll be driving. But at the same time, I'm probably going to want more sleep than I'm going to want to be here. Although, I've explained in detail how this is really important to me. I don't think I want to go through Monday and Tuesday night with the little sleep that I'm used to getting doing this show. So I'm going to have to go out of my way to try to sleep as much as possible Monday before the show and Tuesday after the show before the next show. And then Wednesday, when I've got nothing else going on, I may be here Wednesday morning after my Tuesday night show, because that concert will get me home pretty late. And if I don't sleep in my van at my friend's house and I actually make it all the way home Wednesday morning, then I might actually just do a show Wednesday morning. So you might see me a week from today, but you probably won't see me Monday and Tuesday morning. Probably ain't going to happen. You want to go to bed? While I don't require much sleep to do most of what I do, if I'm going to go out or work or something, I do need sleep, and I've got to force myself to do it. All right, I'm gonna warm this up and put Sam to bed. Everybody wants water. Everybody wants. Yeah. Anybody out there have dogs? What kind of dogs you got? What do your dogs do in the morning? I better let this one into a room here. All right. All right. No wedgie, no wedgie, no wedgie. Okay, so while my dogs finish drinking all the water in the world here, I will drink my coffee. Trying to drink all the coffee in the world. All right. So, dogs. We have 4 dogs. Hi, they're big face, and they pretty much rule the house. I impose no heavy rules and regulations upon my dogs. You know, like I said, it's no peeing and pooping in the house. You can't chew up anything that doesn't belong to you, and you don't fight. And those are the only rules that my dogs have. Other than that, I love dogs because they're dogs, not because I want to make little humans, little fuzzy humans out of them. That's not what I do. Dogs are best at being dogs. I don't like to put a lot of human stuff on them. I don't like to teach them a lot of our own attributes and shortcomings. While I do appreciate and stand strong behind most service animals, there are some animals that are put into such humanistic positions in their own lives that I don't go for it. I don't do police dogs. I don't do army dogs. I don't do dogs where they're used as weapons. All right. Humans use weapons and should be put in cages. Dogs should not be used as weapons, and they should not be put in cages. Okay. You can dislike me if you want. I had a guest here for a second, but I scared them away. So yeah, I mean, let dogs be dogs, let kids be kids, let people be people. Let's try not to, you know, mix it all up and try to confuse the issues. Um, so yeah, we're not going to get into old time radio Wednesday. We are going to talk about well, the show last night. You know, I mean, I went out and saw a really cool concert a couple of miles from home with my family and friends. You know, what what better night could that be? You know, and I'm not a outgoing person. I'm not a party guy. You know, not even when I was young. You know, it just wasn't. You know, and I'm still not, but um, it sure is nice to be able to go out and have fun. Wednesday, so that's right. I got to do taxes tomorrow. Yay! Yay! Ain't that something special? Um, yeah, I'm real. I'm gonna put this over here because I'm still walking on sunshine because of this, and then we can I can show it off. Here we go. There. Put this here. Get rid of my lyrics and set that there, and see if we can get a good. There it is. All right. So yeah, last night was pretty awesome. Was pretty awesome. I got to meet Ben Harper. I got to meet Harris Harper. I got to meet Mitch Rowland, and I got to meet Sarah Jones. Right. I feel like one of the luckiest guys on the planet, just being able to do this stuff without having to go anywhere. You know, and because of my daughter and YouTube, I took the initiative to meet them, to engage them. And I'm not an extrovert. I'm not that guy. I mean, I would rather crawl into my shell and think, oh, there's no way I could do that ever, you know. And that was me. And there are still hints of that where I'll be doing something and it'll be like, no, I can't do that, you know. And then I decide, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And then I borrow a bass guitar from a friend and write a bass line, you know. Um, so more and more, I'm trying to become Jim Carrey's yes man and just try to say yes to things that I've been unable to say yes to in the past. And yes to last night. That was awesome. Um, Ben Harper, I was wearing my corduroy shirt, and Ben Harper complimented on how he liked my corduroy shirt. Um, yeah, I mean, it was such a little thing, you know. All of these interactions together probably lasted less than 3 minutes, right? Yet it was like that, and my daughter's response and reactions to all of this was like the best, you know, handful of minutes of shoot, you know, of my life, you know, being able to make a small connection with perfect strangers who I appreciate and admire, and then be able to share that experience with my daughter. You know, yeah, it's just, it's so freaking phenomenal, you know, which is how I described last night, you know, on one of my social media posts. And I got some great photographs with the help of family and friends and perfect strangers. It was a great uh, memory, a great photo opportunity, a great experience, a great adventure. You know, yeah. On a plan to do this, I didn't plan to do it last night. I didn't plan anything. Had I planned last night better or at all, I would have brought Ben Harper's records to sign. I have a wide open light. I haven't even opened wide open light yet. Um, and that's Ben Harper's latest. He's probably released something else since then. But like I said, I have a tendency to hold on to things and, savor, the moments leading up to and then the moments of enjoyment. So even though I had a whole evening just filled with awesome music, sounds, and sights and smells, and you know, ambient lighting. I mean, it was just a bitchin' night. Even though there was all this other external stimuli going on, the one constant thread dragging through my head was this song that I've been working on the last week. Literally the last day or two, I've really put myself into it. But the lines from the songs, this one song, just keep going over and over and over through my head, And usually I will get a hold of something and I'll write it down and I'll maybe create a little, melody for it. And then I'll just kind of set it aside, and then just let it kind of, evolve into something. Every time I play it, it'll just become more and more of what it's supposed to be, right? And then there are songs like this one that won't leave me alone, and this one especially, where it's not so much that it feels unfinished, but that it has become like a virus in me. Like I cannot shake it. It's so catchy that I listen to it in my head like it's someone else's song and I'm enjoying it, and I can't, it's like, oh, I hope it comes on the radio again because I got to hear that again, and I'm not one to get into listening to my own voice or looking into my own eyes even, right? That's just one of the parts of my depressive nature, and I really cannot stand the sound of my own voice most of the time. I don't rewatch a lot of these shows because that would require me to sit and listen to myself, or watch myself. Um, but I find myself wanting to push play and listen to that song, uh, and that right there, and the fact that every time I hear it and hear it with someone else, I get really emotional about it. Makes me, I actually have done something, that is not just important to me, but it's an important song, to people like me or people who share the same likes and interests and stuff. So I'm really anxious to see what it's going to be, what it's going to become, what's going to become of it once I put it together and get it out there. I am probably YouTube wants me to create more shorts, so supposed to be. So I may release this in some form as a short. It's most definitely going to become a video, and I will try to share it in as many different platforms as possible so that I can um, get more interest in it. And I think this is one of those songs that's catchy enough, um, to get some interest, you know, because it's so fun. It's so basic and simple in its melody, guitar wise, and it's lyrically it's challenging, and vocally it's different from anything that I sing in like one pitch, one key. I try not to go beyond my range. This last year is the first time in my entire life that I began to sing ultra low and go up ultra high. And that was a poor example, but I'm actually finding that I have more range, and it's in no small part to David, my friend. Thank you for taking me into his studio and allowing me to listen to myself on recording and then sing with myself and harmonize or sing around my own voice, which has shown me that not only can I do that, but I can do that with the guitar, and I can be strumming the guitar one way and be able to sing it differently, um, you know, throughout the whole song. You know, the guitar stays the same, yet I'm all over the place, and I've never been able to even fathom doing that. And now, being a yes man, I can just say, "Well, fuck it, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it." You know, if this entity that I have created and has life of its own now, if it wants me, if it requires of me to do this for that, then that's what I got to do. I got to figure out, you know, I did that 30-second theme, and it required me to pick up the drums and create a drum beat for it. It required me to pick up a bass and create a bass line for it. And I allowed the song to speak through me and work itself out, right? And this latest one that's, you know, a little over 3 minutes long started out as a little 30-second soundbite that I wanted to create, and has just gone, um, you know, nuclear. So, like I said, I don't like to do stuff in the morning because I just don't have the physical wherewithal to sing in the morning, and old arthritic hands. My fingers have been numb a lot lately, and it's probably due to the pinched nerves in my neck that are pinching off these nerves that come out to my fingertips, because that's where I've had issue in my right arm, from my neck injury, and now it's kind of in both fingers and both hands and arms. Um, so while I do enjoy playing, and I do need to play more, and I try to play more, I can't. So physically, so what I have to do is I have to put more forethought into everything that I do, so that when I do play it, I'm getting the most out of, you know, what I'm playing. So in between, every time I play or record and then have a little period in between, I try to focus on where it's going, how I'm going to better perform it for a recording the next time, you know, or what am I going to do differently? You know, what am I going to do the same? How am I going to do this? You know, and that is probably a big factor in why I can't get it out of my head, you know, because there's still more that can be done, but it's like these things are, I write these little things that for me are just so catchy, you know, and kitschy and nifty to hear these little phrases, uh, and I really worked hard in this song to get certain phrases in some form into the song. You know, I wanted to mention my band, I wanted to mention movies, I wanted to mention friends and family and having fun, and I wanted to be able to, you know, use my own brand of humor and my ability to kind of play with different voices and stuff, right? So, well, we're just about creeping into the third hour, almost done with the second hour of the show. Yeah, just sitting here talking about, just about everything, but especially last night and this new song that I'm playing with. And at some point, I'm going to create a video. I've got to go out and do a little housework today, which is what I do. I clean vacation rentals. We've got a lot of them out here in Joshua Tree. But my main thing right now is working on this music video. It's probably going to be not just a theme for a segment about going to the movies, but I think it's also going to be a video in itself, a music video, because it's such a fun novelty song, you know. So I've got a bunch of ideas on how I can do that, and just, you know, pillaging the internet for photos and video, sound bites and video bites and photographs and crap. I mean, and then just editing it together, you know. And when I scrounge photographs and stuff off the internet, my chair's a little wobbly this morning. When I scrounge that kind of shit off the internet, I usually don't get into citing where I found it. If I'm going to use like a piece of a movie that's more than a couple of seconds of something going on, I think you're pretty much going to, you know that none of this stuff is me. You know, it's all just, you can see me, because if I'm there, you're going to see me, but all of this other crap is just going to be peripheral shit that's, you know, obviously scrounged from everywhere. So I'm probably not going to go into credits on, you know, this is this, and who this guy wrote this, and this is this movie. And if I show 2 seconds of a movie, I don't think I'm going to bother, you know, giving credit to anyone. And I think I'm just going to go with it like that and see what happens. See, you know, when I did my little 15-minute documentary, How They Call Me Mike, and I prefer to be called Michael, that documentary there, I just scrounged photographs off the internet and mixed them with my own family photos, right? And that was it. And then it was just, from then on, it was just in the editing and creating some kind of sound backdrop. And so that's how I create my videos. I try to use footage that I've recorded, sound that I've recorded, along with my own photographs, new or old, and a bunch of stuff scrounged off the internet, wherever I can find it. And if it doesn't have one of those copyright watermarks across the front of it, then I don't worry about it. You know, it's on the internet because people are sharing it, and it's there to be used by people, right? And if they're sharing it, then I'm going to share it, and I'm just going to share it my way. They're sharing it their way, I'm going to share it my way. You know, hey, it's shareware, let's share it. So I don't really get into too much detail on who owns what and who's this what's this. If I post a video in one of my shows in a comment from YouTube, I will, you know, of course, you know who that video has come from, because when you watch the video, you go to their channel. Well, I also go to their channel, and I like the video, I comment, say thank you, and then I'll subscribe to their channel. And that's the way that I show my appreciation for them allowing me to use their stuff. And it kind of helps us, the little community helps us all kind of gather subscribers and viewers and stuff. And I kind of look at it as YouTube as not just a social media platform, but as a community of individuals, mostly individuals, who want to share what they they love and their own talents and their own artistic abilities, and much, much more. I mean, there's not much here that's artistic in my morning show. I'm just sharing, what I enjoy, and I hope it's entertaining, even though it's just me rambling on about my life, right? Oh, coffee is good this morning. I had to make it this morning because we got back so late. Usually we'll put it together in the coffee machine before we go to sleep, or at least my wife will. And so, of course, I made it this morning, so I made it strong. And yeah, good stuff. So yeah, YouTube for me is like a community, and I unless I'm borrowing something from someone specific on YouTube, and I can see that yes, this does belong to them. I won't really worry too much about, who did what to who. If it is an important contribution to one of my videos, then I will give someone credit to it, whether it be, I played a cover song by this artist, and this is the person who wrote it, and this is the information about that song. Yes, I have done that with a couple of songs, and have given credit where credit is due. But if I'm going to flash some photographs that I scrounged from the internet up, and a couple of sound bites and little bits of seconds of video, I'm probably not going to get too heavy into, giving credits, right? I will probably use still shots from movies. I will use public domain stuff from movies. I will use short snippets from movies and then just slow them down and stretch them out so they're less recognizable as an actual piece of the movie. But you still see that, oh, that's from the movie Twister, or that's from, The Outsiders or whatever. There's another one. So I got to start making some notes about. My song is about going out to the movies, right? So if anyone pops in and good morning, America, how are you? That's one of the ideas for a theme song for my Sunday morning show. Bob Dylan singing that, just that little, 15, 20 seconds around that Good Morning America thing. I think that would be neat. But if anyone knows of any movies, right, 60s, 70s, 80s, anything from the 80s and before, if anyone knows of any movies, good movies, that have the actors going to the movies, or going to the movies is a part of that, right? Then please get in touch with me and let me know, because I want to fit some of these things into my video. So we got the movie Earthquake, right? Twister. Ooh, The Blob. Oh, one that I just mentioned, The Outsiders, right? They go to and all these movies, they go to the movies. And these are actually almost all of these are movies that I actually have in my collection. Not that gives me a copyright claim, but what I might do is put some of these movies onto my old tube television through the VCR or DVD player, and then capture the image on the TV screen, right? And then use that, because sometimes when we go to the movies, we go to the movies at home, right? And since mine is a retro look at going to the movies, it's going to be kind of have that slant on it. So I want these movies to be kind of that era. Twister. Is Twister like 90 or 91 or something? Or is it like right at the end of the 80s? I can do with a little bit into the 90s because the 80s kind of drag on into the 90s a year or so, just like the 70s dragged into the 80s a year or so. So yeah, movies that have go into the movies in the movie. And now that's on the tip of my head, and that's all I want to think about. So my chair is getting really squeaky. I'm going to have to flip this thing over and play with it. Yeah. Great show yesterday. Great night last night. I'm having a wonderful morning. Well, I only got about 3 hours sleep last night, and they weren't great hours. Once you get the coffee on and, I open my mouth and start rambling, then, I'm pretty much awake. And I could do, I could do this for hours. I don't think that once I get done with this, I get pretty sleepy and I got to either find something to get into or find a bed to get into. So we'll see how it goes this morning. I am tired, but I got a lot of energy because of that show last night, and the excitement I got from the people I got to meet, and the joy in my daughter's face from getting her record signed. So there you go. Stage Door Johnny. If I could do that at every show to make my daughter that happy, I totally would. In fact, I toyed with her, and I said, don't get me started. I'm going to start looking for the back doors at the Honda Center. And she looks at me with that Fallout Boy look in her eyes, and she says, "Don't you dare," And it's like, she's so funny. She's like, "No, I don't want you to be that guy." That old crazy weird bearded guy again was caught outside the forum harassing the stars, trying to get a picture. And yeah, that would probably wind up being me. So thank you for taming my weirdness at least a little. Boy, this chair is really starting to squeak. Good morning, America. How are you? Don't you know I'm your native son? Yeah. I love Bob Dylan. We used to have some great Bob Dylan records in our family collection. I don't have those. I do have a little bit of Bob Dylan on 8-track, but I don't have anything on LP. So I'm looking over here at the D's, and I got nothing here. I got some Diodato and Derek and the Dominoes, and Dire Straits, and a bunch of stuff. But I got no Dylan, right? John Denver, Bobby Darin at the Copa, and that's a great one. Bobby Darin at the Copa. He does the definitive Mac the Knife on that one. And it's from our family collection, and it's got a slight skip in it that I don't think I'll get that skip on my Audio Technica, because it's got balance and anti-skew and all of that stuff, which is why I got that particular model. In fact, let me pull that out. Where's Bobby Darin at the Copa? Good morning, America. How are you? There's Bobby Darin at the Copa. That's a great one there. I'll just leave that stuck out there. But yeah, I don't have any Bob Dylan. on LP. Doobies. Out of Doobie Brothers. Totally. There you go. Okay, well, this is Mornings with Crazy Old Weirded Bearded Guy. It is 7:12 in the a.m. I got a squeaky chair. It is February 28th, 2024. We are in our third hour. And this morning we've been talking a lot about last night and the concert I went to with my daughter and wife and friends. There's going to be a lot of this coming up. My daughter's got a lot on the books as far as concerts coming up. Of course, she fits all of these shows into a lot of college and college homework, and laying around procrastinating, which is what a lot of us people do. And let's see, we had just a fantastic show yesterday. And Invised from Bernai showed up on the show, and we had a great conversation. And Krim from Ireland showed up, and the three of us for a little while exchanged likes and stuff about music, and they turned me on to some more artists, and turned me on to themselves. So now I went to their YouTube channel and subscribed, and now I've got more stuff to check out there. So that's really cool, and I've got some new music to check out. So that's what I'll be doing over the weekend, is kind of going through my notes and seeing what homework I need to deal with. But yeah, last night's concert was awesome. So most of today's show has been about yesterday and last night, and getting to meet Ben Harper and Harris Harper, and getting to meet Mitch Rowland and Sarah Jones from the Harry Styles Band, and Mitch Rowland on his solo tour. And so last night was really a family affair. The Harper family was there in full force. Mitch Rowland and Sarah Jones and their family was there. They were a small family. They had a little cabin 100 yards away or so from Pappy and Harriet's, where they were shacked up for the duration. So I'm sure at the end of the show, they were eager to get back to their baby, their kid, and that's awesome. That especially nowadays, it's so normal to just take your family on the road, whether you're an actor or a musician, or some kind of wandering minstrel or artist or whatever. I mean, that's just awesome, right? What better way to grow up? It was better than the way I grew up, right? Yeah. So I don't remember what exactly I was going to jot down here in my little notebook, but yeah, I need to see about Krim and Weist, and look back to my photographs of the comments, and look up the musicians that they suggested. So I'm going to be doing that this weekend. gathering material for my music video, which means scrounging the internet and borrowing photographs and video snippets from the internet. And then using my own video footage of the song and my own photos from friends and family, and try to compile some kind of meaningful video, because the song really is about not just going out to see a movie, but the experience around it, the feeling, being out with family and friends, having a good time, not necessarily it being about the movie, right? And so I want the video to really reflect everything about the song, and I don't want to just be blatant and throw up photographs that match every word, right? That would be ridiculous. But I want to give you the feeling that we're we're going to go out to the movies or the drive-in or something. We're going to have a good time, And I think that I will probably at some point re-record for a third time another version of this song, because even though I don't sound like it now, I think I can pull off vocally. I think I can pull off a better version of this song. And I think the more that I play it and get comfortable playing it and singing it as myself, the more I can start to put myself into it and give it the voice that it needs. Not just the vocals, but the voice, the accent, the twang, the tone. I call it the Kermit twang, when I give something a little bit of that, like Bob Dylan, Lay Lady Lay sound, something a little, little offbeat, little off, center. And then I know that I'm really starting to get it to where it's finished. Now, there's a couple of music videos that I put on my channel that, while they're pretty good renditions of what I was trying to put forth, they're not perfect, right? And I did that because at some point I'll upload the same song again, and you'll see the difference between how I played it when I first started playing it, and then how I play it here, and then later how it's evolved into, now this is how I really play it, right? And I, recording it different ways. When I would go to my friend's house, to his studio to sit and record things, I would put on a VCR and a video camera so that I could record what was going on with my camera and have that footage so that you could see the change and the growth. That's growth. But that's, that's it. That's me in a nutshell. Constant change and growth, and saying yes to more, right? Squeaky chair, squeaky chair, squeaky chair. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a little to do. How do you do? 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 And I've got a couple of things here I need to do. I need to get one of my Sony U-matic 3/4 inch tape decks for the big giant video cassettes. Let me grab one here and show you all. All right, so this is one of the large ones. All right, here is a VHS. Here is a normal VHS. Okay, and that is a normal VHS. All right, so this normal VHS size, okay, compared to a 3/4 inch U-matic. All right, the 3/4 inch U-matic is one of the professional tapes that they used back in the 70s and 80s. It's a big ass honkin' video cassette. And at first, when they used video, it was it was on reels, like the reel to reel here, big 1-inch videotape reels, played through a big videotape machine. All right. And then they came up with the idea for cassettes. Well, let's just put them on 60-minute cassettes, right? So you could put a whole 1-hour show on here with commercial breaks, right? And then you could just push play on this, and this would play. And then where there was a 3-minute commercial spot, there would be a blank spot on here that said commercial break, right? And so those were the professional tapes. And then here is a small 3/4-inch U-matic, all right, which is a 20-minute tape, right? And it's still pretty big. So there's one machine that plays both sizes. You can buy a little shell where you stick the smaller tape in and then it fits into the machine. Or you just line the tape into the right slots, depending on your machine, and dump it down in. Okay. So I bring this up because a lot of these movies back here, one of the segments that I want to do on my Sunday morning show, of course, the show's going to be all about me, my past, mostly, the first show, because that's what I got. So I want to take some of this original content, transfer it digitally, so that I can then create a little video with it and offer it up as entertainment. So I've got to get my U-matic deck, which is what these tapes are, and blow it out with an air compressor, get the right material to clean off the head and make sure that everything is good to go. I can't go much further than that. So I'm hoping that this machine will allow me to upload the 9 hours of material that I have. I've got, what do we got? I think I've got 4 large 60-minute tapes that are mostly full. And then I've got, what do we got down here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20-minute tapes that are mostly full. Okay. So I've got about 9 hours, I think, approximately, of material that I need to transfer. And if I can't manage to do it here, then I'm going to have to go somewhere and source this out to somebody, which means paying some money or finding someone who will befriend me the opportunity to move some of this digitally so that I'll have the content. I've got a small couple of minutes of 16mm film from Wounded Knee when my father went to Wounded Knee and got snuck in and took some footage there. So I need to get that transferred as well. And I'm hoping that I can do that in Palm Springs at one of the film restoration and conservatories, one of the places where they, archive 16mm, 35mm, 8mm stuff. And I'm hoping that I can offer up and trade some of the home movies that I have from the area here that are not mine, but they're old home movies, 8mm home movies from the area that I think would be nice for them to have. So if I can offer up in trade that kind of stuff, where, okay, well, here, why don't you take these and give me a copy of these, but also in trade, give me a copy of this, but don't use this. Give me a couple of years before you guys use it and put it into public domain, because I want to have the opportunity to share it in my own form, to tell my story and my family's story of how we were in a tiny bit involved with the whole Wounded Knee thing in 1973. All right. And it wasn't so much that we had a huge or any real big part in anything that happened. It's more that about what happened afterwards and how we were treated by our own government afterwards, right? We were chased around the country, constantly checked on, people showing up, people calling my father's work, wherever he was at, calling his school, wherever he was at. The people we would try to rent from would do a check on us and find weird stuff in our background. We wound up on the road and homeless for like 12 years, right? Just kind of bouncing around, never really in one place for too long. Things would just kind of catch up with you. And then we became less and less of an interest as the years went by. But for about 10 years there, it was really a bummer to not be able to have any friends or to be able to settle in anywhere without, got that call again, my boss said that he don't like to get phone calls from people like that. And what have you been into, so there you go. There's that. So I want to be able to use that 16 millimeter footage that we have for our own family's interest and then allow it into public domain, because I think everything should be, if it's not, copywritten, then it should be uploaded so that everybody can see it and not just enjoy it, but be able to time travel and delve into that little piece of the past and history. Even if it's just a family film from somebody you've never known or never will know. I think that's a great form of time travel and adventure, is to watch old home movies or to look through old photo albums from people you just don't know, right? I hope that someday I will leave behind collections of photos and videos and songs and things that other people who do not know me and will never have the opportunity to know me, but they will be able to enjoy little things about me or little things that I enjoy, right? And that's a neat opportunity that YouTube affords me, right? Is that I can, in some small way, be immortal, right? I can take my little tiny 15 minutes and stretch it out, right? And keep stretching it out and stretching it out. And then even after I'm gone, have it still building up its own little form of momentum, right? That'd be cool, my goal here, right, is to upload enough of me, right, so that at some point through videos and photographs and singing and talking and this log, this diary, there'll be enough of me for, just a little thing go by here. There'll be enough of me uploaded so that you could actually create an AI of me, because there will be me, right? Ask me a question and there'll be enough of me here for me to actually answer it, right? At some point, I'd like to go through most of what's in this room and discuss it. So one of my things for audience participation is to ask me about something in the room. I've already had a new friend ask me, "What's that over there?" And it was where this guitar is sitting. There was a bass guitar there that I borrowed, and he asked if that was a banjo, which was a great question because on a small screen it looks, like any kind of weird instrument. I really got engaged yesterday, and I look forward to more engagement with people, more people to show up and ask me about what's going on in the room. Why is that there? What do you do with that? What the hell is that thing? I know what that is. That's what the hell is that? So bring it on. Ask me something about my room, the shirts that I wear, the clothes that I wear, the records. I will listen to just about anything. I will listen to anything from just about any period in any genre. I'm open to experience. But this isn't new. I mean, me saying yes is new. Um, when I was a little child, my father was a disc jockey, a DJ back in the 70s, for his college radio station, and then on to a couple of other FM stations. Uh, and at college, in the college radio station, he had his own 1 hour show Friday evenings at 5. Friday at 5, he would go live and do a radio show where he would play favorites, not just from his present and his past, but back to his father's past and his grandfather's past. And he would just reach back and just grabs all these great things from the past and put them on his show. And if you go into my playlist, I've actually put a couple of those shows on reel to reel, and have uploaded them as actual videos. So please go there and check those out because they're really fun. So he did these radio things, which is what got me into listening to just about everything. Old time radio shows, Jack Benny, Fred Allen, Dragnet, the original Gunsmoke, X-1, Dimension X, The Shadow, Suspense, Escape. Just so many great shows. I go on and on and on and on. I've got a whole stack over here in that direction of old time radios. And this is Old Time Radio Wednesday, but instead we're just gonna talk our way through today, figuring that I'm gonna lose a couple of days next week. So because of my father's influences, I have really been able to say that I enjoy listening to just about everything and anything. Make sure that nobody's intruded into my coffee. So, from Anthrax to the Andrews Sisters, I will listen to anything. I've got a lot of Andrews Sisters here. I love the Andrews Sisters. My musical interests go way beyond what I have gathered together here with me upon this small raft. Okay, it goes beyond my daughter's interests and her music collection. She uses Spotify, so she has access to so much of the present and the past, but I am the lightning rod to which she finds the past, because I will literally say, "Have you heard this before? Check this out," and then all of a sudden that's on her playlist, and when we go out, it pops up, and not because I say, you got to. Which I do. I say, you got to put me on your playlist because I want to hear some of my stuff. But she puts the things on that I like that she likes. If I like, like ELO, she'll put on her favorite ELO songs. Ben Harper and Lucas Nelson. They'll make it onto her playlist because of me, but she'll play songs that she enjoys as well. So I will literally listen to anything. Some of the obscure stuff that I have in my collection. These 4 cubes here that you can see. These 4 cubes are A through E down to E. And Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then it goes all the way down to Kenny Rogers over here. Oh, I haven't fixed this yet. So this this actually goes to E here, and then F is over there, and then it runs down into I think N over here, and then winds up at R for Kenny Rogers, and then ends up over there. So I've got them split up. I used to have them together, and I haven't balanced the alphabets yet. So what I have over here that's probably unusual for someone like me to have would be, let's see, okay, here we go. This is something different that I really, really love. I love this music. This is something that I found on YouTube, this group, and they've had a couple of incarnations, and I don't think that they're happening anymore. I think the lead singer is still happening and doing stuff, but as a group, I think they kind of fizzled out. And they started as a, they were at a camp, I think like a summer camp, and they went to do a talent night, and they did a lip sync to one of their favorite heavy metal bands. Okay, I don't recall what that was. So they did this lip sync, and one of their fathers thought, wow, you guys are really good and energetic. Let's see if we can't turn this into something, right? And so they started to do some singing of their own to some pre-recorded studio music and singing along with other heavy metal music. And then eventually they created their own 3-person singing group, and eventually got their own musical act behind them, a guitar player, really great guitar player, drummer, bass player. So who I'm talking about is Baby Metal, right? I'm talking about Baby Metal. And they are just so full of energy. One of their songs, Chocolate, I can't get enough of. I don't have it on this record. This is the only LP that I could find of theirs. Their stuff's hard to find. And then even harder to find if you're looking for an LP. And I'm a vinyl, not purists. I'm not a vinyl purist. I don't have to have everything on vinyl, you know. I like magnetic tape too. And I'm not really into CDs, but I like, you know, I'll go there if I have to. But I just enjoy vinyl. The feel, the time trip that it gives me. It's my bag, baby. Let me take a look in here. So, Baby Metal. I like the whole idea of the different personas around each girl in the group, and them having their own character, and the strong lead, the strong female leads that they and their choreography, their really strong vocals, and their melodies are hard hitting. It's just fucking awesome. Yeah, if you get a chance, look up some Baby Metal. I will go right now, and I will go to. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want that. I want this. I will go to YouTube right now, and I will type in Baby Metal, and there we are, and post a link to there. I'm going to subscribe, and I'm going to post a link to a Baby Metal song. Let's see, where's chocolate? There's Chocolate. Give me Chocolate. Here we go. So I am going to grab this link here and go to my video that where I'm at right now, and make sure my phone is. Hey, I don't want to hear myself. It's nice to know that I'm there. And there is Gimme Chocolate, bingo, in the comments. And that's Baby Metal. So go to check out Baby Metal. If you haven't seen anything by Baby Metal before, They've got a brief period of existence, but really great stuff. All right. I love these out of nowhere bands that a lot of the time YouTube helps present to us. So yeah, somebody I don't have in my collection is who I mean to get into my collection are the Black Star Kids, who opened for the 1975 at the Forum at their very best. And it was a phenomenal show. 1975 just killed it. But the energy that came out of the Black Star Kids was just fucking awesome. In fact, let me post a link to the Black Star Kids because that was another thing that was really neat, was learning about the new music out there. Let's see, Black Star Kids. What do we got here? I'm already subscribed. Let me give you one of their songs that I'm familiar with. All right, well, what the hell? I'll just give you one that I already know, Britney Bitch. There we go. And they just do, I call it teen angst stuff, where they're just doing their, they were all pretty young when they got together. Same thing. They just got together as a YouTube thing. But then look, bang, they're on tour with 1975 last year. That was pretty cool. So, yeah, Black Star Kids. Back to the comments. Here is one of the Black Star Kids. Check them out. If you go in to visit I'm putting what I know to be the official site for that group or that artist. So if you go there, please try to like one of the videos or subscribe or something. Share the love, support the community of artists. There's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube, but there's a huge community of performing artists that we really need to get behind and show the love, because it helps them to get seen. I mean, right? If it wasn't for YouTube, the Black Star Kids never would have been on tour with 1975, right? Another group that I saw, let's see, who did they open for? We've seen so many groups. Maybe I can jog my memory by looking at a list of the groups that we've seen. I know the actual openers won't be on this list, but maybe it'll jog my memory. Harry Styles, Love on Tour. Love on Tour. Was that it? I think that was it. It was Harry Styles at Love on Tour at the Acrisure Arena on his birthday. A year ago tomorrow, I think, is when we saw him, or 2 years ago tomorrow. God, time is just a year ago tomorrow. But yeah, one of the other opener acts that we saw was the Linda Lindas. And they were great too. They were different. I don't remember who we saw them with. I can't remember. But they were great, and they were high energy, young. Was that at the forum too? Right. Linda's. And we'll go to Linda's. And I'm already subscribed to the Linda's because they're kind of a fun, kooky group. I was actually able to get one of their records. I think it's in a bag that a bag of props that I have for a video segment that I'm doing. So I don't want to get it out of the bag, but I will post in the comments here yet again a copy to the link of Linda's. So if you go there, share the love, support, subscribe, like, all that. I hope you enjoy that stuff because it was fun for me to learn about. And I'll turn myself off so I have to look at myself in two places here. Coffee. It's almost gone. I'm going to start stealing some of my wife's coffee here. I try not to have more than one cup, so I just have a giant cup. Let's see, something else that this guy probably doesn't look like he'd have in his collection is this one here, Big Sean, Detroit #2, and this is a pretty cool one. That's got a lot of great music. It's got a few different guest artists on it. It also has some spoken word stuff. It's got a great story about Detroit from where we got here. Dave Chappelle. He tells a great story about his experience in Detroit. But I think I just found this at like Walmart or something, and I was like, I want to check this out, because I would, the last few years I've been into that. Yes, let's try it. So, I got into the idea of, I'm going to try stuff that I've maybe been a little tentative of before. Let me try something new. So that one was a neat purchase for me. Yeah, my interests really do vary musically. I hope this creaking chair isn't bugging you too much. I'll have to try to remember to flip it over and mess with it, tighten it up or lube it or something. But yeah, that's another great one. I think if I have a few acquaintances that have become pretty good friends on social media, especially, who are actually hip hop artists, if that's the correct term, and do that freestyle rapping, if that's what you call it. I mean, I'm kind of out of it. I'm like, hip hop and rap, dude. Let's break dance. I'm a little bit throwbackish, so I'm not hip with the lingo. In fact, one of my friends, one of the hip hop artist friends of mine, we were texting back and forth, and he texted me something that I read to be fascio, right? And I'm thinking, what the hell is fascio, right? And I was stumped, and I didn't know how to respond to fascio. And I'm thinking, is he calling me a fascist? I'm looking through my comments to think, does he have cause to call me a fascio? Is it some new slang term for a fascist, right? What does this mean? And I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And I actually had to text him back. So I'm not really hip on today's lingo. What does fascio mean? And he actually laughed, a bunch of laughing faces, and had to type back, for sure. For sure. And I was like, oh my God, for sure. Okay. I'm old. Maybe I lost something in the text translation, right? But I didn't get it. I really love this shirt though. This was a good week for shirts. I got this shirt and my Harris Harper shirt. And I got a couple of other shirts that suit me. I love shirts with, I'm not one to wear big marijuana shirts, or, I'm a pot smoker. I see marijuana every day, all day. I don't need to have a shirt that says, hey man, I'm a stoner. I mean, you can look at me and say, that guy's a stoner, right? So I don't need to advertise. I do like mushroom shirts. I do like the sight of a drawn, cartoonish, colorful, vibrant mushroom. I really dig that. Or flowers, a floral pattern shirt. If you want to throw in a couple of mushrooms and pot leaves, that's great. But I like the different colors. Marijuana's green, mostly. So, I mean, it's a green shirt. You got a shirt with some big green splotch on it, or a hat with a bunch of green leaves all over it or something. That's okay. That would be like me wearing like skull shirts and crossbones and shit. No fear and all that. That's just not me. That's not this guy. Apparently, after last night, I guess I got no fear because I was, Mr. Social. But yeah, I nowadays I like to wear at least shirts that express something about who I am. If I go out, I require myself to wear a hat, baseball hat, says something about who I am, whether it's a concert hat or a novelty hat or just a color that goes with whatever else I'm wearing, my ensemble, right? So I like to wear a t-shirt. I don't really like collared shirts. Collared shirts with cuffs and collars. Shirt collars are like the yoke of the oppressor. I just, every once in a while I'll wear one, on a bigger jacket or something. That's cool. A big shirt jacket, like a flannel or something, that's okay. A nice dress shirt, but I'm not going to wear a collared shirt every day. I like t-shirts. I like novelty t-shirts, concert shirts, vintage t-shirts, shirts that say something about me in my past or my very exciting present, right? And then even my pants, my flannel pajama pants. If I go out, I got to have on some denim and or some corduroy, right? I got to have some Argyle socks on. I got to be me, I got to be me. It feels good to be able to wear something other than just black, and depression kept me mourning for a life I hadn't even lost yet, right? Which is probably why I wore so much black all the time. But I'm alive now, so I get to wear shirts that say I'm alive and that are colorful and expressive and vibrant and exciting and inviting, So often when I go out into the world, um, people will comment on my T-shirt. That's a cool shirt, man. Hey, I like your shirt. Hey, I know that. I remember that. Hey, I remember KMET. Hell yeah, that's awesome, dude. Betamax, really? And then it also frees me up to look at somebody and say, hey, I like your shirt. And then they look at me and go, hey, I like your shirt. Um, so it's just a T-shirt has offered me a chance to be engaging out in the world, right? Just a freaking T-shirt, right? Who'd have thunk? Ah, so everything that I do, from my Vans to my baseball hat, is there, um, not just to say something about who I am and what I represent, but to also offer up a form of time travel for myself and for the people who I engage throughout the day. I offer up myself as kind of a tour guide to the past. I'm like Mr. Vintage, Mr. Analog, Mr. Old Guy, but I carry the past with me like a ventriloquist dummy. All right, he's my buddy. This is the past. Let's hang out. Let's talk with the past. So um, when I talk to somebody for a brief encounter somebody I don't know, we can share an experience that is a form of time travel. We both just went, oh wow, man, I remember that, and then we're both back there as a kid or whenever experiencing that again, right? Uh, and that's pretty cool, you know. That's a fun way to go out into the world. Because I used to go out into the world going, oh man, I feel like a fucking modern slave. This sucks. You know, I gotta suffer with these sons of bitches just so I can bring home a pittance of what I'm worth, so that I could, pay for a lousy piece of crap existence that, you know, uh, that is all I can afford, and then, along with learning how to create a world and a life and an environment that doesn't require me to be that guy anymore. Um, I've also, through my daughter's help, been able to create this guy who can go out and do these things and be engaging and energetic and fun. Uh, and I was never really that. I wasn't that guy when I was a teenager and was that guy, you know. Um, and I just lost so many years, decades to to depression and antisocial tendencies, um, that I reached a critical point where it was either I was just going to just give up and crawl into a hole, or um, you know um, just not care anymore. You know, um, and and I had to make a decision to, what, I got to do something different. I got to change certain things in order to not go back to that place. When you get to a certain age or a certain place in your life, or that you've got this shelf life going on, this you know calendar date or something hanging over your head, you come to the conclusion, the epiphany, the realization that you gotta take it to something different. While this was, what it was, it never really worked right. And you know we need to go and do all those things that you said you were going to do. Let's do them, but also let's do things anew. Let's not just go do the same things over again, which is how this started. I was just doing the same kind of thing, and now, in the last year and a half, this has become not only this morning thing here, but so much more. you know um, I can't describe the arguments I have with myself over what am I gonna work on now. I got so many things going on and so many ideas, and I just have to. Sometimes I just throw it all up in the air and just reach out and catch something, and okay, this is what I'm going to work on. And sometimes I just have to set it all aside, and then wait until something just says, you know what, I'm the thing that you have to work on. You got to work on me, work on me, work on me, and it won't leave me alone. And then I have to, and that's why I've been the last few days. So yeah, I'm real excited about last night and yesterday, and new music, and new people, and new places and new things. And I want to thank everybody for helping me get there, you know, and get here. Once again, we'll go back to why we're here this morning. It's because we got to meet Ben Harper. We got to meet Mitch Rowland. We got to meet Harris Harper. We got to meet Sarah Jones. We just had a wonderful evening. Thank you to my daughter. And I got photos. And my daughter's not into taking photographs of herself or with other people. I think I got 1 or 2 photographs of her last night, and only one of them she knew about. So that, there's that. I was able to sneak out right at the end of the show and introduce myself to Mitch Rowland and Sarah Jones and get them to autograph my daughter's record. So that was like the high point of the night, showing my daughter this, her record here. Here's, we did this for you, and that was like the high point of the evening. I mean, and the whole night, the whole day and night was just filled with high points, and usually when that happens, the following day will just lead to an ultra low. It'll start off good in the morning, and then by the end of the day, I'm just miserable because my depressive nature takes me from ultra high to ultra low, right? So I have to have balance. This show, this log, this diary here, this video diary, offers me the chance to balance the books so that I don't hold it all in and have to deal with all of this emotion, good or bad. It's just out and then it's done with. Some days here, not always, but on occasion, I will be here and I will be venting about something that just drives me crazy. And I don't have any hate or malice for anyone, but I gotta vent. And if I'm pissed off about something or someone, I'm gonna get it out so that I don't have to keep it with me as baggage. And it's just like that with good feelings. I have to get those good feelings out and express them and enjoy them and then move on. If I try to hold on to these good feelings too long, they start to become bad feelings. They start to fester. Why don't you feel like this all the time? How come you can't always feel like this? Why don't you just go out and do this every day? I mean, it's just the voice, the inner monologue, the emotion, the compounding negative energy, right? So I try to keep it happy by doing this, and it does. It works wonders. When I don't do this for more than the weekend, I really start to think, oh man, I need to get it out, and then I may show up a day late and vent. I think I'm going to have too much going on that's positive next week, so that when I do finally make it back to the show, I don't think I'm going to have any, the will to be negative. There's going to be so much, knock on wood, that everything's going to be just peachy keen, So yes to having fun. Yes to going out. Yes to meeting people. Yes to meeting your idols, right? If you will, and not being disappointed. Like I said, the Harpers were the most gracious and humble people, and the most sweetest, kindest, generous people that I've ever met. All right, as strangers, they were just so bitchin', you know. And even if they did it because that's the face they wear when they were out, it still felt so genuine. Okay, thank you for that. Um, and to me, you know, and I feel it as it was a genuine encounter and a positive experience because I offered myself up in that way, you know, and I hope that if at some point they look back and see or able to recall this evening and me and our encounter, they could say, oh yeah, that you know, a weird guy, you know, he was neat, you know, or whatever. He was nifty. That guy was the bee's knees. Anything going on here? Oh, all right, so we got social media is running amok here. My phone says I got no voice service. Um, I did a fantastic post last night after the show where I was able to share some of the photographs that we took last night. I don't like to offer up video of performing artists a lot because I feel like I'm stealing something away from them. I've got a lot of video from every concert that we've been to in the last 2 years, right? My daughter records just about everything, and then we download it into her computer. So we've got just about everything that we've been to. And then I'll have her thumb drive it for me so that I can use it. But I keep trying to put together videos of stuff that we've been to do a, you know, go into a show kind of segment. And I always wind up feeling like I'm presenting too much of their stuff. So now that these tours are over and we've kind of moved down the road, I think I feel more comfortable revisiting some of these old concerts and offering them up as things from the past, not so much as things that I just did. Here's my present, what's going on, which is last night. She recorded all of Mitch Rowland and Sarah Jones, and I recorded some of Harris Harper and Harris Harper with Ben Harper and CJ Harper. So at some point, I may offer them up in some small fashion on YouTube here just to share the experience. But I don't want to steal their thunder, and I don't want to gain stuff by using them, right? So that's why I really kind of fray away from doing that kind of sharing. So if I am able to make, you know, the decision and actually share some of these videos, they won't be in their entirety. I'll probably choose some of my favorite moments. And there are a lot of favorite moments from a lot of different shows. And a couple that I can recall were at the Forum when Harry Styles was on stage, and people are constantly throwing things up on the stage with him, flowers and bolos, and that's what they're going to boas, right? The fuzzy scarf thingy. And we know that it's morning now, so the sun, this desert sun, creeping in. I'm going to pull the shade, and try to get the glare off of my head here, out of my beard. There we go. Okay. Sorry. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. So one of the neat things about recording a show is you can go back and look at it and see things you missed. But one of the things that I remember from Harry Styles being on stage at the Forum during his 15-night residency was, people throwing stuff, and somebody threw a ball or something small, and he was right in the middle of just really rocking out and having a ball, and he spun around and somebody threw something on stage, and he didn't miss a beat, and he just gave that thing a soccer kick, and it was, and we got that on video, and so that's one of those moments that were really neat. Or a couple of weeks later when we saw the 1975 at their best, an interaction between an audience member and Matty Healy, where he talked to an audience member that he recognized from previous shows, and asked the guest, the concert patron, what their favorite song was. And if you've seen anything from Live at Their Very Best, I will post something now so that you can see what I'm talking about. 1975, and then at their very best. Okay, so here is the 1975 Madison Square Garden, Live at Their Very Best. This is the first night, I believe, or the first couple of shows. And it's a phenomenal stage show. It really is a great stage, a great setup. If you get a chance, check out this video of the 1975 at their very best, and like and subscribe too, because it's pretty cool. But one of the neat interactions between Matty Healy and one of the guests was he asked them, hey, I see you again, have a good night. And they were really emotionally involved in this interaction. So he told them, this is my favorite song. And their stage was set up like a house. And if you watch the video, you'll see. And he asked them what their favorite song was, told them. He walked back to the bookshelf. The bookshelf in this stage house, and found the book with the lyric or the song title, and brought it down and gave it to the concert goer. And I just thought it was one of the most coolest interactions ever, right? And it was just one of those cool special moments, and it wasn't like, oh, I wish that was me. I just thought, wow, how cool to be able to witness, that personal experience, 15,000 other people, it was really cool. And then when we saw the 1975 again, still at their very best, at the Hollywood Bowl, one of my most memorable experiences, again, watching Matty Healy, was not just the video segments that they did, him mea culpa for some things that he had said, and it was a political video where it looked like he was running for office and he was trying to apologize for misdoings and stuff, and it was just a huge parody, and it was just hilarious and unexpected and fun, and it was just, it was really cool. There we go. We got light going on in here. And so, he's doing this song on stage at the Hollywood Bowl, and there's this orchestra pit in the Hollywood Bowl because this place was built back in like the 20s and 20s or 30s, built a long time ago. And I think they're on their 100th year pretty soon, if not already. And so there's this big orchestra pit, and it's the edge of this orchestra pit is this big concrete wall barrier thing. So you step down into the orchestra pit, and then there's this concrete semicircle wall where then the seats kind of go up from there. And Matty Healy stepped out off stage onto this, and the fact that they were able to pack that set from their show into that little cornucopia arch thingy in the Hollywood Bowl was just amazing, and made it work. But he walked off of the stage and onto this concrete and into the audience and walked out singing to the audience with the audience around him. All right. Which was amazing in itself, that he put himself out there and trusted his fans so much, right, to be out there and away from safety in the stage, right? Not only that, but he stepped down into the crowd, into the orchestra pit, okay, and mingled with the crowd on his way back to the stage, all right, and then sang from the audience at the stage, the barrier. He literally stood at the barrier with the others looking up at the stage, singing. And I thought that was, I get all emotionally and googly over shit. Maybe some silly stuff. Maybe I am a goober, but I just, I think these things are so fucking cool. That these guys, these people are so, out there, literally in the world, doing all these phenomenal things, and they still have these. They still have their human element. They still have the ability to connect, right? Unlike another memorable experience was at the Honda Center during the iHeartRadio concert thing, was when really douchey guy, what was his name? Jared Leto, came out with 30 Seconds to Tokyo, if I'm remembering this correctly, because I'm not a fan, and I didn't know anything about him having music thing. I don't like him as an actor, and I'm just like that. I'm honest. I don't judge, but if I like something, that's a judgment on my part, my tastes. I'm not saying, I'm not making a judgment on that person. I'm making a judgment on my likes and dislikes. I don't care anything that guy does. I get kind of a douchey vibe. That's a judgment. But that's, that is what it is. He came out late and stretched out the time that it was going to take for us to see Fall Out Boy, the closing act. And then he had the gall to meander through the audience during his opening, right, with his brother on stage playing the drums, some guy that they didn't want anybody to know about off to the side doing the real music stuff, right? And he meandered through the audience, and most of the people were literally on their phones, doing social media, staring down. The few people that he came in contact with were like, moderately entertained by the hoopla. Oh, look at the hoopla this guy is creating. Not that they really cared too much. There were a few people out there who were like, ooh, let me get a photo op. But he really forced the issue, like, you got to like me. This is why I'm here. You guys got to like me. And then as soon as he got on stage, he said, oh, poor me, I've been sick and I shouldn't be here. So he excused himself immediately for not having any talent because he was sick, right? So douche move number two, he's late. No, it's douche move number three. He's late. He meanders through the audience and wastes a bunch of our time. And then he gets on stage and claims that he really shouldn't be here, but everybody made him be here. And you know, I'm sorry if I don't sound like I should. Well, we don't. Nobody cares how you. Nobody, obviously, nobody's really paying attention, so they don't really. I don't know how you got so far up at the end act that you're right before the closer. I don't, you know, because it wasn't impressive. Apparently, they did a song that people recognized because for one brief instant, people were like, okay. And then he kept just dragging shit on and talking in between the couple of songs that he played. I mean, literally turned 5 minutes, 10 minutes of music into like a half an hour of just boredom, right? He kept talking. He started his last song and then stopped everything and apologized and said that he was supposed to bring people up for this one, right? This guy has no professionalism at all. He was a yutz. Judgment. And so he did. He picked out people from the audience and he got a bunch of hand selected people who were already chosen to come up there. Some chicken person, somebody in a chicken costume, and a bunch of other people with signs and stuff. Brought him up on stage, got him up on stage, and then started the song over again. And then dragged that out. And then took forever to end this bland performance, right? And I'm ready to go to sleep at this point because it's getting late and the act should have been on 15, 20 minutes ago, and this guy's still out there. And it's like, come on, man, I want to go to In-N-Out. I want to watch Fall Out Boy, and I want to go to In-N-Out, and I want to drive the fuck home because, I don't want to go to sleep at 4 in the morning. Jeez, come on. Going to sleep at 2:30 in the morning is hard enough. So yeah, that was one of those memorable experiences that I don't want to have. One of my way back in the past experiences at a concert was when in 1978 at the Angels Stadium in Los Angeles, Anaheim, Mick Jagger kicked one of his shoes off accidentally into the audience, and then kind of hobbled around for a second waiting for his shoe, and then his shoe didn't come back. A couple of other shoes came back, and then pretty soon waves of shoes were coming back at him, and he was up there singing, dodging, just shoe. He's getting pelted with shoes, and that was a memorable experience. That was crazy. Sitting behind Phil Collins at the Forum again back in 1983, watching the Robert Plant tour, watching that show, and being like literally a few people up the row behind Phil Collins playing the drums, all right? And then having the whole everyone on the stage turn around and actually sing music to us, the people behind the stage. And it's unless they're going to put the stage in the center of the Forum, it's kind of uncommon for them to have no backdrop behind the stage. But I guess they needed the extra seats for Robert Plant because the stage was just a stage and lighting, but nothing around the stage. A few speaker cabinets, monitors, and whatnot. But it was one of those memorable, very memorable experiences. Or again at the Forum, watching The Firm and Jimmy Page, right? And watch him with that bow, just going crazy on the freaking guitar, and that bow just shredding by the end of the song. That's another memorable experience. Again at the Forum in 86, 85 or 86, right? We've got Roger Waters and the pros and cons of hitchhiking tour, and you've got, I think it was like Robbie Robertson and Eric Clapton and a bunch of other just huge people up there, just jamming away, right? And they're doing a Pink Floyd set during the Roger Waters concert. Like half of the show was Pink Floyd, then half of the show was his new album. It was a long show. We got there a little bit late, but I remember one of the kick-ass moments at that point was listening to one of the songs from The Wall, where at the end of the song, there's the sound of the plane coming in. It comes into a crash landing, and then you hear the baby crying, right? Well, we're back in the Forum up like this, and as you hear that plane coming in for a crash landing, they take a tarp off of a scale down replica of a British warplane coming in for a crash landing on a wire, along with the sound effect. And it comes in and goes down and in off to the side, back behind the stage, right over the center of the Forum. And now I get goosebumps just thinking about that one. That was fucking awesome, especially as a teenager, right? And you've heard this movie, The Wall, since it was released on LP, as a kid, and all of a sudden you're able to sit in the concert experience and watch portions of this movie come to life on stage, and that's as close as I ever got to seeing Pink Floyd, was seeing Roger Waters. I'm not really into post 80s incarnations of bands, right? Pink Floyd being no different. All right. I'm not really into the post Roger Waters Pink Floyd. I try not to get into politics of music or artistry or any of that stuff. I just don't. I just don't really enjoy the music as the early stuff. All right. When they took Roger Waters out of the music, they took much of the Pink Floyd out of the music. And it's just an incarnation of Pink Floyd. To me, it's the new Pink Floyd is the post Roger Waters Pink Floyd. It's just me felt like the Pink Floyd that I care to listen to. I know people from the 90s who really got into the Pink Floyd scene and would go to all of their concerts and stuff and just really listen to everything. No, not me so much. If I was going to say a band that I've listened to through all of their periods and all of their eras, it would probably be the Grateful Dead first, right? Firefall, ELO. These are groups who have been somewhat unchanging throughout the years. Their musical formula remains constant, but not stale, like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, who I'm sorry to say, I enjoy all of their stuff from the 80s, but when we get into the 90s and up to the present, I just don't find it as entertaining. And I probably won't go to any of those concerts if I've got to pay for one, because most of the music they're going to play, unless they're going to devote themselves to an album or a period, they're not going to play what I want to hear. Now, I understand that Iron Maiden is possibly going to be doing a tour where they're going to be doing a couple of their early albums, like Number of the Beast and what's another early? I'd have to go over and grab mine. I've got pretty much everything from Iron Maiden through the 80s, right? And a couple of things after that. I've got everything on 8-track from and record on an LP. Between LP and 8-track, I've got everything of Judas Priest from the early 70s to the late 80s, and a little bit else, a little bit more. But I just don't get into the newer stuff, the post 80s incarnations of older groups. I would love to go see Firefall, because everything that I hear from Firefall that's new really harkens back to the old stuff while being new. They don't stick to a set formula like Iron Maiden, where we've got to have this kind of song and that kind of change and this kind of bass riff and this kind of melody and this kind of interlude. And that's, the Iron Maiden has a formula. Steve Harris has a formula to create a record and an album, just like Stephen King has a formula to create a novel, right? And it's obvious they stick to it. And I need a little bit more excitement. Otherwise, I'm back at 1995, 1996, where I just turn it off, because there's nothing there to grab me. I mean, for a brief instant, I was like, ooh, Beyonce, who's this? And then for 15 minutes, it was like I really dug listening to a couple of her songs, her earlier first album, first and second, it was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then it was like, oh God, what happened? And what happened was they get full of themselves and they get all divish, or they get overproduced or over stuffed into our face, and it gets old, and like Beyonce, when your producer is your husband and co-creator, and you get stale, you wind up doing the same crap, or you just wind up focusing more on yourself, and rather than the music or the art or your fans or what the fans want, you keep giving them this crap that you want to give, like J-Lo and her "This Is Me" and "Look at Me Now" and all of that stuff. And it's no, I'd rather grab a movie and watch you in the past, or grab some of your old early, Jenny from the fucking Hood shit. I want to watch Selena. Yeah, I mean, it just, you get to a point. There's not many artists or actors or creators nowadays who you can follow from their early days to now, because they get so wrapped up in the profession and what is required of them to become a success and to remain on top and to have those fans. And they worry so much about that they literally lose track with where they were when they started. And you get that, like with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks just keeps going and going and going and making all this stuff. But it's, I want to see him do something like he made, back in the 80s. Some of that funny slapstick. He doesn't do a lot of that anymore. And he's really good at that. Let's see more of that. You see, like Johnny Depp, every single thing that he does, he tries something new, right? And that's his formula, and he tries really hard not to be himself in every role, that now every role has invaded him to where he's become every role. He is every role that he's ever lived, because he lives it so fully, right? Yeah. Wow. So yeah, this is my weirdness here, my weird room, my weird life. I was talking earlier about memorable concert experiences, which is what brought out the Pink Floyd The Wall, because I saw Roger Waters, and I'm going to have to get the pros and cons of hitchhiking, because that was one of my favorite things to listen to back in the 80s. Because it was different and it was new. Like that band, they just kept evolving into these different super groups, and that's a lot of Jerry Reed. um, or Redbone. Let's see if I can find. I wonder if I'm even in the right spot here. Yeah, no, I think I'm in the right spot. I'm just not far enough down the line here. Is this it? Yeah, there it is. So another band that popped up. And you know what? If anybody is out there and remembers the 1983 and beginning of the Robert Plant Principle of Moments tour, Pictures of 11, Principle of Moments. He released those two albums and then went on tour. Does anybody remember who the opening act was? I could swear that there was an opening act and that it was Planet P. All right. And maybe it's because maybe they weren't, and maybe it's just because that song was playing before they came out, before Robert Plant came out. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's because they were so heavy on the radio at that point, and KMET, I believe, was still around, and this was a KMET sponsored event. So help me out if anybody remembers the Robert Plant tour, the first tour, and opening acts in the LA Forum. It was September 20, I want to say September 23rd, September 20 something of 1983 was the day of the show. So if anybody remembers that, help me out. But they were one of those groups that was kind of a super group. It was an offshoot. The keyboard player, not going to remember the name, was the keyboard player for Deep Purple, I'm going to want to say, and put this group together and just did some phenomenal sound on this. The song Why Me was all over the radio for, the better part of a year, if not more. Just a great freaking song. Just you'd walk into the arcade, Spaceland Arcade in Elsinore, and you'd walk into the arcade, and this song would be playing on MTV, and it was just it screamed out to me. MTV and video arcades in the 1980s. I mean, it was like, and why me? It was like my anthem. It was great. A great fucking song. I'm gonna have to leave a couple of these things out to throw on the old turntable today, so I can keep my creative juices flowing. I'm gonna probably just stay awake and stay pumped up because I've got to go out and do some house cleaning today. So I'll probably have some more caffeine and some more pain relief, and then go out into the world and do my responsibilities, check on the local tourism, see how people have been treating the houses that we care for. Every time I try to take a second to reflect upon last night, I'm blown away. I am in awe of last night, of my daughter. I'm in awe of myself. I'm in awe of the celebrities that I had the pleasure of having a chance encounter with. Thank you so much again, Ben Harper. Thank you so much again, Harris Harper, for being so courteous and sweet and kind-hearted and engaging. and Ben, thank you so much for being an instant friend. That's important for an old fart like me. To find somebody of the same age who is in a completely different world than mine, but we can find a brief encounter to merge those two worlds together and say, hey, what's up? So thank you to the Harper family for just being an awesome bunch of people. Thank you to Mitch Rowland and Sarah Jones for, again, being really awesome and accommodating people. They're just really, really cool and polite and sweet and kind-hearted and gracious. And yeah, I mean, I'm taken aback by, I'm in awe. It just was phenomenal. And thank you to my friends, to our friends, David and Kristen, for coming out and sharing the experience. That was really neat. I love to be introduced to new stuff, and they do that for me. So I love the opportunity to reciprocate and introduce new stuff to somebody else. And last night was my opportunity to say, hey, check this out. My daughter turned me on to this. So let me, in turn, hook you up and say, check this out. This is different. This is neat. It may not be your cup of tea, and you're not going to go out and, rush to buy tickets or an album or something, but you're going to say, hey, that opens me up to new ideas and experiences. Right. So yeah, thank you. Thank you to my wife for coming out. She doesn't often want to come out late. She's not a late person. She's usually the first one in bed out of the three of us. And with her, the dogs are all shuffled off with mom while I get into bed. And when I get into bed, they will lay with me as I'm going to sleep. Before I'm asleep, they're all with her. They're mom's babies. And they, even the big dog, when she sleeps on the bed at the foot of the bed with us, she sleeps on mom's side. She attracts them in exactly that way. They all know that she's the leader of the pack, and we have to go give love to mom. We have to make sure mom's okay. Let's warm up mom. Let's give mom kisses and love. And that's their job. And they relish it, and they do it so well. My dogs are career dogs. So yeah, that's awesome stuff. I didn't even get a hangover last night. Usually after a couple of beers, I got my hangover last night before I went to sleep. I got a raging headache after I ate, and I had a couple of Bong Hits, and I was like, oh man, I just gotta book it all and go to bed. And it was probably like today is going to be. I just had too much time with my eyes open. And too much stimuli, too much external stimuli going on, data input reaching maximum. And it's like, oh my gosh, guide me with a fucking pitchfork. I gotta turn this off. Yeah, and I really need to hit reset in the next 24 hours so that I can start working on this song again and re-record it and gather together materials to create a cool video, because I think I want to throw a little more of my own little Kermit twang into this song. I think it requires more of me than I am giving it at this point. So I'm going to play around with it. And I had plans to take the current recording that I have and turn it into a video and upload it within the next day or so. But I think it really wants me to work on it a little bit more and get it to sound more inviting at the beginning, because it does, for me, it seems to lie a little flat at the beginning, while my intention is for it to start off kind of mellow and then work up into a thing and then kind of get mellow again and then work up into a hoopla again and then get real mellow and then go explode again. So that's my intention. And having done it a few times and then recorded it and listened to it a few times, I see where I can now make some changes. and I'm not an artist. I'm, well, I guess everybody who creates is an artist, but I'm not a musician. I'm not a singer. I'm not by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, am I a professional musician or singer. I just, like I tell my daughter, I just like to noodle around. I'm just a noodler. And I love words and stuff. But, all that being said, I really do have to put the best and the most I can into something that is supposed to express a lot about me and my life and my experiences, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm real excited about jumping back into it and taking another stab at it. But I'm going to have to hit reset and clear my plate, clear my palate, and get some good solid rest. So while this evening after work, I will probably do a lot of practice and might even record again. I don't know that I'll be able to work on it seriously until probably tomorrow, when I've had some really good solid rest. And then I've got one more day tomorrow of being here on the morning show. So I want to get through that and then decide where to go from there. If I'm going to do something organic. Everything that I do now, I try to leave happen by itself. Let it happen organic. Don't push it. Don't force it. Don't put a whole lot of thought behind it. Know what you want, and then just let it happen. And I have yet to reach the knowing point in this song. Once I have a lot of yes, 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 but it's going to roll together. I've had more yes, I know it now points with this song, other songs that I haven't recorded. So I have to get more into the habit of recording every time I'm just sitting here fiddling around. But it requires tips here. And it just means that I have to keep up. So yeah, I'm holding on here until we get to 4 hours, because I like to round off to the nearest hour as close as possible. Sometimes I don't make it. The other day it's like 3 hours and 20 minutes or something. Nobody's awake yet, so I can pretty much go until somebody wakes up. I think I'm just going to try to take it to the 4 hour point. But I may have to pop and run in and relieve myself of some of this coffee. So I may just bail out of here anymore. And in fact, let's just do that now. Let's just call it a night. Let's call it a day and a night, night and a day. And let's get back. Let's put a pin in this and get back tomorrow morning after I've had some rest and maybe some more of this song, and I can get back into it. Okay. So I'm going to kill my microphone and close my shutter, and I will see you all tomorrow morning. And we can talk more about whatever's on your mind and, of course, whatever's on my mind. Peace. Good morning, weirdos. Adios. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.